Thank you very much, and hello wherever you may be. Listening in Australia late at night, around Great Britain, on the net, all parts of the world, all those TMS fans in the United States, remote places like Taiwan, Egypt, Stockholm, you name it, Berlin. I'm sure you're all wrapped in this, particularly the way the fortunes have moved for England today on top of their belligerent batting performance yesterday. They've now got Australia in a sticky spot, 5 for 219. Langer and Gilchrist are there, and it's Langer who's facing. Flintoff's bowling, and it's short, and he's pulling it away for 4, tugging it out to the boundary. It was just banged in and sat up for Langer, who greeted it with a spanking shot to the boundary. And Australia, of course, they've got past the possibility of follow on, but the question remains now, how close can they get to this total of 407? They've never really been in a position today, it would seem, of the dominance that England had at times yesterday. They've been fighting to get partnerships going, partnerships of 88, 30, 76, just 14 as Flintoff bowls, and Langer plays off his hip through square. He's having a 1, he's thinking of 2, but Geraint Jones is around to pick up, and they satisfy themselves with 1. 77 to Langer, 5 to Gilchrist, and here's the big moment. Flintoff versus Gilchrist. He almost got him before tea with one that zipped past the outside edge. Mike Selby, good afternoon.
It's that shot that Gilchrist plays, isn't it? He just goes after it, back foot waft, and it climbed past the edge, just shaved it, and Adam Gilchrist survived to tea. Next hour will tell us an awful lot about the progress of this match, won't it?
Yes, that's Gilchrist. He can change it quickly, but so too can Flintoff. He's in form. He bowls to him around the wicket, and back goes Gilchrist and forces the ball away down the onside. So many times, and recently too, have Australia been in a position such as this, and Gilchrist has come out and played a rapid innings that's changed the course of the match. Can he do it here against bowling that's very willing, and with a little bit of reverse at times here from Flintoff in this 54th over? He's going up around the wicket, and Gilchrist is leaving the ball watchfully. A no ball, in fact, in his eagerness. Flintoff just overstepped as he hurled that down outside the off stump. So Australia losing the wickets today of Matthew Hayden. First ball, caught Strauss, bowled Hoggard at short cover, out for a duck. Ponting caught by Vaughan, top edging the sweep to Giles bowling, and Vaughan was just behind square there. He was out for 61, and then in the last over before lunch, Martin was run out by a very good piece of work from Vaughan. Flintoff bowls, and it's played on the run hard towards mid-off. A good stroke by Gilchrist, and it's stopped out there by Simon Jones going to his right, sliding across. Yes, Martin just short of his ground on the third umpire evidence to Jeremy Lloyd, and he was given out for 20. Then another partnership, 76 added until Clark was caught by Jones off the persistent Giles for 40, and Katic taken by Jones from Flintoff for just 4. Flintoff just talking to Michael Vaughan about the field placing. Peterson comes in a little bit at cover. They've been thinking about these strategies all day in the field. Very purposeful outfit. Flintoff bowls, and back goes Gilchrist and forces straight through Peterson. He's had another little concentration lapse out there. He'd just been moved in, and he's in his enthusiasm to pick the ball up, he overran it, and they took a single. Gilchrist 6, 5 for 226.
He's a very athletic fellow, Kevin Peterson, but he's also pretty tall. There's a long way to go down to get those.
Now Justin Langer playing the sheet anchor role here. There's a slip and about a third slip. Flintoff's back over the wicket at him. He bowls now, and he's leaving outside the off stump, but that went a long way after pitching near the line of the off stump. Jones took it across where first slip may have been. So Flintoff hurling himself into the game here. 11 overs, 1 maiden, and 1 for 36. Was it 7 off the over? A no ball, yes. 5 for 226 with Lang at 77 and Gilchrist on 6.
It's an interesting contrast in against these two left-handers, Andy Flintoff's approach over the wicket to Justin Langer. He's reckoning there that Langer's vulnerability seems to be at the moment, if he has one in this innings, it's driving outside the off stump at something that's going across him, so he's slanting the ball across him, whereas if you bowl round the wicket at him, he's just picking him off his hips there. He's collecting his ones and twos, milking him a little bit if you like, so he's not giving him that chance. Gilchrist, he knows that he just doesn't want to give him the ball going across him, because that's the one that frees up his hands and he can just hit through the line, and there's no more ferocious strike with the ball in world cricket than Adam Gilchrist on a roll. So tuck him up from round the wicket is the key to that there, and perhaps just shape the ball away a little bit with the reverse swing, aided by this stiffish cross breeze as well.
And maybe that breeze is going to help Giles a little bit here. He's bowled very well today, and Gilchrist, having pushed a few about just before tea, may think there's another way to go. What will it be? He goes back and he forces off the back foot, and that's just a single, because there's a man out there on the slog sweep, the heave at mid-wicket. It's Peterson. Gilchrist is 7, 5 for 227. And because these two first came to notice in Test cricket in terms of a partnership when they won a game in Hobart against Pakistan with a triple century stand. They both made serious centuries against the likes of Waqar Younis and Wasim Akram. Now Giles bowls and Langer's forward, and he gets a run too, just pushing the ball in front of Hoggard, trotting in to his left from mid-on, and so Langer moves to 78. What do you make of these in-out fields that he's been having?
Oh, I think he's got to have that, hasn't he? He's got to have the protection on the boundary. Although the way this game's gone so far, you do think that even the men on the boundary, if they catch hold of them, are pretty superfluous. But I think, Giles needs that protection, and at the same time he wants people in there to stop him prodding and poking.
Giles bowls, and he's down and he's driving. A good-looking stroke too. It's straight way to the offside, and Vaughan down at mid-off. So there's a slip under the nose on the off short leg. There's mid-off and a backward point, no cover, mid-on, deep mid-wicket, man just in front of square and a deep backward square. Giles bowls, back goes Gilchrist, forces to Hoggard at mid-on, and he can't score. This is very exciting action today, but for a different reason. The ball's not being plastered everywhere, no sixes have been hit, quite a few boundaries, but Australia playing from behind and just trying to keep in the game at the moment. As Giles bowls and Gilchrist is down and he's driving back. He just checked himself up there. Giles is just burying it a bit. He might think he's a chance of getting a caught and bowled here. Gilchrist stabbing away at the pitch, trying to get himself in. Just has a look at where his guard is. Now he taps away at the crease. Giles moves in towards him and he's forward, pushing the ball away past the man close in on the offside. It's Strauss, and they take a single out through cover, which gives Gilchrist the strike. He's 8, 78 to Langer, and Australia trying to run down that total of 407, 229 for 5.
Yeah, actually, Giles will think he's got a point to prove to, in particular, to the Australians, who I think he probably thinks have been a bit disrespectful to him, actually, and haven't really acknowledged that, whatever you say you're going to do to somebody, you can still acknowledge somebody's achievements, and he has been an integral part of a successful England side, and I think he's really going out of his way now to try and gain that respect, and thus far he's bowled really well in this innings.
Right, Flintoff starts and stops. Wasn't ready down there. And there's a real buzz around in the crowd. There's a few, a little bit of movement up there. The stewards are busy up at the top end of the ground as we watch Flintoff bowl. And Gilchrist tries to pull, but it wasn't quite the length, and he dragged it along the ground to Vaughan down there at mid-on.
Not sure why he's gone over the wicket to him, having just given solid reasons why I think it immediately goes over the wicket. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. He's been successful from round the wicket at him before.
He's bowling to a 7-2 field here as well. 2 slips of gully, third man Point, cover, mid-off. I can only see two on the onside as Flintoff bowls now, and he's going behind it across the crease and pushing it firmly away out on the offside. Yes, deep backward square and mid-on. We've seen this strategy applied a couple of times today, and England working very hard on a variety of plans to pin the batsman down and maintain some pressure, which they've done a lot better than Australia were able to yesterday when England got amongst them and carted the ball through the field, over the field, into the crowd. It was breathtaking stuff. Around the wicket now he bowls, and back goes Gilchrist and forces through the covers. It's running fast across the square towards the boundary. Bell will stop it inside the line, and he goes on the 1-2 with Peterson as they collect a couple. Good teamwork. Gilchrist 10, 5 for 230.
Good bit of team fielding. That's the way they do things these days. Do them in pairs. I always say, always chase it down in pairs. Flick the ball back to your other mate. It's quicker that way than turning, picking up, throwing in. Often the relayed throw is another method they use. It's quicker to get the ball in.
Flintoff moves in, and Gilchrist is behind it, right across his stumps, and pushing it down the pitch. So the crowd should get play right through until 6 o'clock tonight. And we were looking at the weather forecast there long term. There had been a hint of rain about for Sunday originally, but the latest forecast shows fine weather right throughout, which at this stage you'd have to say augurs very well for England. They've got the better position in the game. They've got runs on the board, and Australia working very hard to try and match them. Gilchrist waits. Here comes Flintoff again, around the wicket to him, and he's back, and he's getting a little miscue onto his body. A no ball, in fact. He was trying to flip it away. Maybe he just got deceived by the bounce, but he nicked it onto his body. But a no ball. And the score moved to 231. It ended up in the flap of his pad and then fell out onto the ground as he was trying to work it to the onside, which he's pretty adept at doing. Flintoff knows that anywhere near the line of the stumps he'll probably be taken there, but he's trying to get it to go away, and he's being occasionally successful. Here he comes. He bowls to Gilchrist. Gilchrist takes it out of his stumps. It was right up in near the line of middle and leg, and he knocked it out on the offside. So strong, quick bowling from Freddie Flintoff here, following up his extra-set innings of 68. And he's bowled as well as anyone there today. Giles has taken 2 wickets for 52. Jones none for 42. Hoggard 1 for 41. And Harmison, who hit Langer twice earlier in the day, once in the helmet and once in the midriff, has none for 48 from 11. Now there's some movement near the screen. Gilchrist just waiting for a couple of latecomers after tea to settle back into their positions there. There's a chap standing up near the screen from the look of it. He's staying still, and as long as he does that, it won't be a distraction. Flintoff bowls now, and Gilchrist chases it and drives it out through the covers. That's going for 4. Peterson almost cut it off, diving to his left, but he didn't, and from there it was another billiard ball flying across the field. 5 for 236. Gilchrist 14 and Langer 78 at the end of the Flintoff over.
Well, he's on his way. That was just about in the slot for him there to put away. It's probably, as Henry pointed out actually to me, Blowfield rather than Lawson, that is to say, he's batting well over. He's batting on off stump, Adam Gilchrist, so he's trying to make Andrew Flintoff bowl the ball a little bit wider, so he then has the option A of letting it go, or B, if he tries to straighten the ball up there, to clip him wide on the leg side. There's 7-2 offside field, so he's giving himself scoring opportunities either way.
And maybe Flintoff a chance of getting it onto his pads for the LB as Langer goes forward. He's beaten here and appealed for stumping. He dropped the ball. He shuffled forward, then I think he adjusted as the ball went past outside the line of the off stump, and in the end Jones dropped the ball.
Did he drop it after he'd attempted the stumping?
Well, I think Langer's foot was there in the end. Just looking at that, he's got his foot back,
Yeah, he dropped the ball after he'd done the work, though. So,
but his foot was back, so it didn't matter. By the time he'd taken the bails off, Langer had adjusted his back foot. We don't want him to be fumbling now. He's taken 2 catches today.
Yeah. It's just early on, there's that one rather nervous fumble of Steve Harmison. No catch, but a routine.
Charles Bowles, forward Langer. Pokes away on the offside. But Giles is using the breeze skillfully here. He's just deceiving the batsman with a bit of variation in flight. And for Langer now, the field's moved a little bit. There's a man at deep point, but a cover and a mid-off. Over the wicket to Langer. Langer forward. And he's playing the blocker here. He really is the glue that makes the whole innings stick together. Hasn't given a chance. He's had a couple of near misses off the inside edge. And he's taken quite a few blows early in the innings. Giles bowls to him and he's down and he's driving at this and he missed it. And so too did the keeper. Now I don't know whether that could be construed a stumping chance. He goes that little shuffle and then when he missed, I think his foot was still there, but we get the side on view here. Was it a difficult stumping chance? He missed it on the full and Jones didn't take it. Would have been a sensational piece of work. Giles again. Langer is pushing out a pad and Jones misses it. That's byes. It's going down to the boundary. Just missed the helmet too. 4 byes. So, and happy times for Jones. That may have skidded through a little on him as Langer thrust out the pad and it went past the pad and yes, it kept very low. Went through his legs for 4 byes.
It came out the foot marks, that one, and it kept very low. Might argue that I'm no one to talk about the techniques of wicket-keeping, whether his feet should have been together.
Stay down, stay down. Giles bowls now to Langer. Langer leans forward again and plays away on the offside. But some sort of points victory, I think, for Giles in that over. He deceived Langer on a couple of occasions. There were 4 byes, but no runs from the bat. 17 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 52. With Australia up to 5 for 240. Langer 78 and Gilchrist 14. Hayden out for naught. Ponting 61. Martin 20. Clark 40. Catich 4.
He's rising to the occasion, actually, Giles. He's masterly stuff at the moment. Given him a vote of confidence, haven't they, by putting him as the cover photograph on the match programme too. And he looks like he's the picture. He looks like he's really giving it a rip too there. So bit of confidence for him from that. Well,
he could be the match winner here. If Australia in the final innings have 300 or 400 to chase, if it comes to that, he might be the one that gets England a victory. But at the moment, the victory England want is over this man, Adam Gilchrist. And all Australian ears are pricked to this. Can Gilchrist get away again? It's Flintoff around the wicket. He thunders in and bowls to him, and he's following the ball and clipping it into the covers. And they take a run just to the right of Peterson. Had he picked up on the run and delivered, that could have been tight. But he fumbled it, and Gilchrist moves to 15. So Gilchrist quickly getting into the rhythm here. How many balls has he faced, Bill, so far?
28.
Yeah, that's a bit below his strike rate, but it's a condition of the game, I suppose, at this stage that demands that he shows some respect and settle in. Now, for Langer, they're sending a deep mid-wicket out as well as a long leg. Flintoff's bowling over the wicket to him, and this ball he takes away behind square, trying to squirt it. It hit the pad, I would imagine. What's Rudy reckon? Yep, up goes the leg. 5 for 242 here. Sunny afternoon. A bit wind blown out there. Quite a few of the players, most of the players have got sweaters on. Not Gilchrist. He's loosened up and ready to roar if he can just get the right length. He's dispatched a couple through the covers and Flintoff's trying to get that outside edge. He goes up now and he's leaving the ball, walking across to the line of it outside the off stump and playing carefully as it went through to the keeper. He knows how important this period of the game is. They've added 34 runs from an awkward position of 5 for 208. England were actually at one point yesterday, where were they? They lost their 5th wicket at 290. So Australia's still got a chance, particularly with this partnership, of getting close. Flintoff bowls. Gilchrist goes back and forces to the onside. Couldn't get it wide of Vaughan, who's the only man in front of the wicket on the onside, with this 7-2 offside bias in the field. So Gilchrist being very thoughtful and careful about how he gets himself in here, and Flintoff's just trying to come up with the right ball, either going away or maybe straightening in for a nick into the stumps or an LB. Around the wicket, he bowls to Gilchrist. Gilchrist drives him down the ground for 4. Yep, he pitched up, and Gilchrist clipped it firmly past the bowler, straight down the ground, and he moves to 19 at 5 for 246.
It's a fine stroke from Gilchrist, that, you know. Andy Flintoff tried to change the angles there. I reckon he went in almost down the line of the stumps there to bowl that. He must have been in great danger of running on the pitch. He certainly tried to change the angle and actually create the ball that was actually going away from the batsman from the hand.
Flintoff, well, no, he doesn't. Gilchrist is distracted, or he wasn't ready, as Flintoff was about to hit the zone. And looking on our TV monitor, there is one fella standing up there, but that's well above the screen. I don't think that's the problem. I just don't think Gilchrist was ready. Now Flintoff working on the ball. This breeze is rustling everyone's clothing here. He goes in and bowls to Gilchrist, who leaves a ball that's pitched just outside the line of the off stump, and it completes another over. 5 for 246. Gilchrist 19, 78 to Langer, and after Mike Selvey, it will be Jonathan Agnew.
It's a pretty brisk, buffeting old breeze now too. The nice crisp afternoon out there. A lot of blue sky, a few clouds about. Not that easy to bowl when it's when the wind's buffeting. Difficult to get a rhythm, knocks the bowler off his balance. Flintoff, very strong bowler. He's a virile bowler, isn't he, Fred? He's not too much acknowledgement there of rhythm and fast twitch muscle.
Well, here comes Giles pushing one through, and Langer turns it into the onside to think about a single. He's still thinking about it, but Gilchrist finally sends him back as Hoggard underneath that white sun hat, and happily restored, although he's lifting that right leg a little gingerly there as he feels. And there's no run. 246 for 5. A gentleman in front of us pulls a coat on. It's a bit chilly if you're out of the sun. And Giles over the wicket comes in and bowls again. And Langer, a little squared up here this time, gets it away for 1, just behind square in the offside. And Trescothick fields 79 then to Langer. He's been ploughing away. He's coming up towards 4.5 hours now, his occupation of the crease. I see Jimmy, the leader of the Barmy Army, has been released by the green vested steward who took him away earlier on, and he's starting to sing again over there. There are two classes of steward, that's the right way of putting it. There's the untrained variety, according to an emailer, and the trained variety, and the green vested ones are the trained ones, and the yellow ones are those sort of volunteers.
What are the orange ones then?
I don't know, Bill. There's some orange ones. In comes Giles over the wicket, and Gilchrist will have one here, flicking that away off his pads. Jones in the sunshine throws the ball into Jones, and one more run is taken.
I thought you'd have done the research. You expect me to know everything about everything.
I think they're just ushers, the orange ones.
Right.
Probably there are 1 or 2 over there, aren't there? 248 for 5. How's your screen, Bill? We need a computer boffin to help poor old Bill out. His laptop screen has gone virtually completely dark. There's one more to Langer, stretching forward, pushing it away to backward point. So 249 for 5. Our stats might be a little slower today, mightn't they?
The problem's still there.
We're putting it down to this rogue power cut yesterday, aren't we?
It happened after that.
Well, the best technical minds here on TMS have had a go at trying to restore it, but to no avail, I'm afraid.
The gentleman who looks after all the computers on the grounds had a look too. He went away.
Oh dear. Time for the credit cards to come out, I think, Bill. 2.49 for 5. Giles over the wicket, comes in and bowls on the off stump. Gilchrist forward, plays us back to him, and Giles has had a good day. And taken 2 wickets, picks up, licks his fingers, rubs the ball, and prepares to come in once again. Round he goes, spinning himself a catch. Very familiar routine, this. And up he comes once again and bowls, and Gilchrist came down the pitch there, was rather deceived, I think, by Giles, who pushed it through flat. And Gilchrist prods that away for 1 run. He keeps the strike, 250 for 5. In reply to England's 407, it's nip and tuck, really. I think both sides know that. 1 more wicket here for England. Particularly Gilchrist, you feel, because you know what he's capable of doing. It would make so much of a difference. Harmison's going off.
I'd rather like to see him coming on, actually.
But, yeah,
going off.
There's been a bit of this throughout the day, isn't there?
Yeah, coming and going. It's the way of the world now, isn't it?
Gary Pratt comes on again.
Now, what do you think? How about this for an idea? The Hollies stand for their fancy dress day. They should all of them come dressed in day-glow stewards' jackets. How about that?
That would be a fine idea. What, any particular colour?
Let's work that one out.
They could have green ones.
Well, they could have a lot, couldn't they? Just doesn't matter which, does it? Just write steward on them all. Nothing to stop doing that, is it?
Yeah, that would be entertaining. It's fancy dress day tomorrow, isn't it? Although there's a chap coming down now. He's the biggest Elvis I think I've ever seen, coming down with an enormous wig. He's a big chap coming down the aisles there of the Hollies stand. He's either Presley. He could be one of the Jackson 5, actually. Looking at him, he's got a Hawaiian shirt on. Goodness knows what he thinks he looks like. In goes Jones, bowling round the wicket on the leg stump, and Gilchrist clips that away firmly to mid-on. Vaughan fields there.
That's what Gooch's will look like in a few years.
I think he's had a Gooch or a worn hairdo, dear. He could have done. But, I feel rather sorry for the person sitting behind that. It's like sitting behind a haystack. A black haystack, mind you, but a haystack all the same. 250 for 5. Gilchrist on 21 and looking dangerous. Prepares to settle down again. There's a conversation, though, between Flintoff, who's having a smile here at mid-off, just outside our window, and Simon Jones, who is on his way again, running in upon his toes. He's there, he bowls, and Gilchrist clips that away from midland leg out to the aforementioned Pratt, who's out there fielding at deep mid-wicket. 1 more to Australia. 251 for 5. They are fighting away here. That's another wicket to bring in Shane Warne. And of course he's no mug with the bat by any means, but it does at least open and end up as far as England are concerned. The new ball due in 20 overs. So we should see that this evening. There are 31 overs to be bowled, so we're looking at a 6 o'clock finish around about 2 hours from now, I'd imagine. Peterson loosens his arms up there at extra cover, and in goes Jones. He's there, he bowls, it's short and hits Langer up on the pad, I think, as that rolls away behind square on the leg side. Geraint Jones picks it up. Rudy Kurtzen signals leg by, and LB goes into Bill's score sheet to my right. It's the 7th and the 25th extra of this innings. 252 for 5. The cherry pickers at half-mast. That normally means it's a bit breezy out there. The chap hovering up there on his crane. It's a blue crane. It's sort of, high enough for most people, I'd imagine. And he's watching now as Jones runs away from us. There's a firm drive from Gilchrist, which Flintoff doesn't feel cleanly there at mid-off, but he prevents the run all the same. 252 for 5. More chanting in the Hollies stand. It's become renowned for that over there, hasn't it? Mike, it's one of the livelier stands on the circuit. Some taunting of the Australians, that's what that's all about. Here's Jones, that finds a leading thickish edge from Gilchrist, again punching into the offside. Belfields at cover point. and there's no run. There are half a dozen Australians there who have identified themselves by wearing those other obvious green and gold shirts, and they're seriously outnumbered.
I suppose this is sort of England's equivalent of Bay 13, isn't it?
Yes, this or the West Standard heading here. Both pretty close. 2:52 for 5. Off goes Jones, and he bowls on the leg stump. It's clipped away by Gilchrist. He'll want 2 here, I think, although Pratt's coming in quickly, but in fact he leaves it for the left-handed Giles, who hurls the ball in. It was a pretty good throw, although Vaughan is looking over his shoulder there as if he's saying, how do they get 2 there? But I think it was always on, probably, because it was perfectly placed to Pratt's left hand and Giles' right, and therefore it was always going to be a bit of manoeuvre for one of them to get round into position to throw the ball back in. 2:54 for 5. With 80 now to Langer, who's been batting all day. He's now just about 15 seconds away from batting for 4.5 hours. While Gilchrist is batting busily. He's on 24 not out. The man out today, Hayden for naught, and we've had it confirmed by a correspondent from Ontario, in fact, Bill. I can't remember his name, but thanks for writing, sir. That was indeed Hayden's first golden duck in Test cricket. He's analysed every duck that Hayden has recorded, so you can now definitely put a little marker in there, please.
Not much happening in Ontario, is there?
Possibly not. Here comes Giles, starting in the over, and that's turned away to short leg by Langer. Belfield, and there's no run.
He's meticulous, Bill. You should always check these things yourself. Never trust anybody.
Because you can't see his screen.
I know.
Slightly thwarted.
I think I might have the technology to help him there.
Do you? Here's Giles over the wicket, and Langer clips that away to square leg. Poor old Bill, he was cut off yesterday by the power cut, so he couldn't broadcast, and he's been nobbled in that he can't give us any statistics today. It's been a very nice, quiet couple of days.
Your number 1 suspect.
I don't go nobbling laptops, I promise you. 2:54 for 5. Also on rather a music incident after tea, though, I can tell you. Here's Giles, and that's outside the off stump and padded away. Mark Webber, the Formula 1 racing driver of some repute, the Australian, who spent some of the afternoon here, is very keen, I think, to see the Australian players who's been taken away now to see them. And Henry is quite keen on motorsport, I think. He follows it to an extent. Here's Giles, and this is punched up to mid-on. He's quite deep there, so 1 run taken by Langer. 2:55 for 5. Henrik T was hovering around, and I said, have you seen Mark Webber, the Formula 1 racing driver, in the box? Henry said no. I said, he's the Australian there. So I hadn't realised that actually Mark Webber had left the box, but there was an Australian sitting here. Nice young lad, name of James Avery. Here's Giles, pushing that away to backward point. Pratt's there, and there's no run. 2:55 for 5. Who, as you and I know, is an earnest young chap who's over here on a sort of a swap thing, I think, from Cricket Australia and the ECB. So he bangs out the odd press release about women's cricket and that sort of thing. Anyway, Henry sat down and engaged a good conversation of 10 minutes or so with him, and asked him how he's going to get on in his next Grand Prix. Here's Giles, and that comes off a thickish inside edge to short mid-wicket. There was a bit of a pause, apparently. It's where James said, well, mate, we don't have them at the ECB. And there we are. So it's a little bit of entertainment. He was a big lad, the motor racing driver. Did you see him? He wasn't quite in Martin Johnson category.
No, but did you I once went riding, not in a Formula Ford, I think it was, around a racing circuit, and it was very difficult to get into those things. You can't be. Yeah. Nigel Mansell had trouble. Do you remember in his later years he couldn't fit into his. Yeah. 2:55 for 5. Jones starts a new over, and that's on the off stump. Langer comes forward, wanting a single. A little bit slow there, setting off, but they do in the end. Vaughan couldn't stop it. And so 1 run taken, 256 for 5. With Langer now to 82. Vaughan rubs the ball hard on his trousers. He'll be pretty pleased with the way things have gone. He'd love another wicket. Just try and nibble away at the Australians here. 1 wicket often produces 2, as you know, in any sort of cricket, let alone Test cricket. And Jones, having set off
aborts that particular delivery. In fact, it was because someone had moved. It must have been someone directly in front of us here, because Gilchrist is waving rather angrily in our direction. I don't think it was one of us. We're directly in line between the point at which Jones will release the ball and Gilchrist will try and see it. So anyone up here is guilty? I don't think so. Certainly not the brightness from Bill's screen that's causing the problems. Here's Jones, and that's down the leg side. Jones dives, can't stop it. He gets a glove to it, however, and well, it's 4 byes. Rather unfortunate for the wicketkeeper. He went miles down the leg side to try and get that. He took off. It's like a goalkeeper trying to save a penalty. He got a glove to it, and that was really the best he could hope for there. I think a wicketkeeper always feels rather hard done by under those circumstances. Each bye is taken as a rather personal thing against a wicketkeeper. And it's the third set of 4, is it, Bill? 260 for 5. The 50 partnership has been brought up. And Jones runs away from us and bowls on the off stump. So it's a no ball, which has worked away to mid-on. And there's one run off the bat. At least I think it was a no ball. I'm looking again for a... Oh yes, it was, I think, because he cut the return crease there, I think. Although Rudy Kurtz's signal was very brief. That might test you, Bill, I think, because he certainly put an arm out. Television saw it. They've got 262 for 5. But the board here didn't, and I'm not surprised. It was a very, very quick signal. That might be disputed later, I think. I wonder if Rudy Kurtz really meant that.
Ball's in there.
Let's watch Jones. Gone over the wicket. There's a peel flag before wicket, and he's going to be out here. Langer is gone. He switched to over the wicket. The ball swung in a little bit reverse, I think. It was a Yorker length delivery, full and straight. And Langer's resistance of 4 hours, 36 minutes. A bruise on the head, a thump in the solar plexus, and 82 runs is over. 261 for 6. It's been a very brave effort indeed. He's played very well indeed. That one hit him on the back leg. It would have hit leg stump in the opinion of the umpire. And Justin Langer gets a standing ovation from everyone here at Edgbaston for a brave fighting innings. He faced 154 balls to those 82.
7 fours.
Shane Warne. And there's the pantomime boo. At least I hope it's a pantomime boo for Shane Warne. We do sort of try and excuse this sort of reception, and I can't believe that anyone could dislike Shane Warne. If you love cricket, you'll love Shane. But, he always seems to attract this sort of reception. I do think it's sort of the man you love to hate syndrome rather than anything else. But out he comes with Australia now on 261 for 6, and England do have that breakthrough.
Well, there's an end open now. Shane Warne's more than capable batsman, but he's not a front line batsman. So England will see the opening. I wonder how much that'll change the approach of Adam Gilchrist too.
He's scored 200s this year, including the fastest of the season, so he's front runner for the Walter Lawrence Trophy.
Really, by George.
First 200s of his career. His highest score in Test cricket's 99.
And he's got a white bat handle as well. Although Gilchrist has an orangey one, so I don't think it's a team thing. But he's playing a few shots down there, is Shane, as he prepares to face his first ball. Now he settles in. The crowd will roar, I'm sure, as Jones starts off. There he goes. He's there. He bowls to Warne. Oh, that's a rather uncertain-looking prodding shot to a ball on the off stump. And it trickles out there to mid-wicket. And there's no run. But Shane is in no real position to play that one. Replay shows, I think that the umpire got that right with Langer. It was leg stumpish. It did the right things as far as the left-hander is concerned. It swung in, it was full.
He had to decide where it pitched, didn't he? That was the key for Rudy Kurtz there. He decided it just pitched on the line of the stumps, was hitting, and that's good enough.
261 for 6. Warne waits for his second ball. In goes Jones. He bowls to him. Well, that's a rather cavalier stroke. Warne driving on the up. It wasn't a half volley. And that's fielded by Vaughan at mid-off. And he's going to set his offside back a little bit after that. Giles is retreating to point. Pratt is already standing there at extra cover.
This is the 7th ball, so that was certainly a no ball. And the 3rd ball of the over.
So we're going with 262 for 6, are we?
No, that... Oh, wait a minute. Yes, we should do.
Yes.
6, 7, yes.
So the board is on 261.
262's right.
Okay. Well, here's the last ball of the over. Unless it's a no ball, in goes Jones, and he bowls. Oh, Warne groups there outside the off stump. He's defeated, but he's still there. And that was a good over from Jones. It's 262 for 6. If you're listening in the scoreboard, please add one more. 25 to Gilchrist. Warne is yet to score. More from Mike Selvey, and then Henry Blofeld.
Well, reward for industry there, Simon Jones. He's a very good Test cricketer, Simon Jones. He's a fellow who keeps coming. He makes things happen. Might be an excellent catch on the boundary. A 6 hit with the bat when he's a tail ender, or he gets his wickets in a little roll of wickets. Now, who knows what that will spur him on to do. It would be certainly in his nature to follow that up with a couple more wickets. Much now for Australia resting on Adam Gilchrist, who I was just wondering whether he hasn't just slipped the leash a little bit. Adam Gilchrist, 25 not out already.
Well, it's going to be very interesting, this. It's Giles now in to Gilchrist. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. Gilchrist forward, hit on the front pad, and the ball just bounces out on the onside, and it's Vaughan who comes in from short mid wicket and picks the ball up.
We've got the battle of the screens. The official scoreboard showing 261 and the television N-Power one showing 262.
No, they both show the same now. And here is Giles in bowls, and that's a tremendous heave there by Gilchrist. It goes down, he doesn't get hold of it, it goes down to Jones at deep backward square leg, quite gently to him, and it's just the single. So 26 to Gilchrist. That may be an indication that he's now, with the bowlers as partner, he's going to open his shoulders, and of course if he does that, he's going to take more of a risk, so England won't be that unhappy. But Giles in the meantime is going to bowl to Shane Warne, and all sorts of field placings are going on, and Mike Selvey's left us, Henry Lawson has joined us, and that was an important wicket for England.
Oh, very important wicket, Henry, very important wicket. This is a crucial partnership, I think, not just in this Test matches but in the whole series. Langer and Gilchrist, if they had to put on 100, 120 or more, England's chances of winning would have decreased significantly. But breaking in the partnership, particularly that of Langer, who I thought batted beautifully for that 80-odd.
It was an innings out of character with the match, the only innings out of character with the match, wasn't it?
And I've been talking to a few of the punters around the ground. They thought, well, there's a bit of normal Test cricket for you, and people were appreciating it for its value.
Well, this is right, isn't it? I mean, in the old days, you think of people like Ken Barrington, Conrad Hunt, and people like that who played that sort of innings. Giles now bowling over the wicket to Warne. Warne just half drives this down towards mid-off. Giles, who's skipping like on hopping like the high hills, goes across in front of mid-off and picks up. And we've got 3 men round the bat. We've got a forward short leg, a silly point and a slip. And we've also got Michael Vaughan at short fine leg for the top edge sweep. Paddle sweep. He has hit, and Warne's down the wicket to this one, has a tremendous heave at it, gets a bit of bat on it, but Peterson has to come walking in from extra cover to pick up, and so he didn't really get any power into that at all. But this is interesting.
Oh, it's bizarre. What is Shane Warne doing playing a shot like that?
Absolutely amazing. And Giles in again, over the wicket from the city end, and up bowls. And what's best better, Warne has remembered himself this time. He's played that with very good behaviour, just pushing it forward to silly point Strauss. But an extraordinary shot, the one before. He's been out in all manner of ways.
That would have been an incredibly embarrassing dismissal.
It would indeed, you're absolutely right. And Giles is in now, bowls, and Warne unleashes a drive that's going to bring him 4 runs. It was rather a wristy drive to a ball of full length outside the off stump. Giles kicks the crease in disgust with himself, furious. How often does one see a good over ruined by a 4 off the last ball? Warne is off the mark with 4. It's 267 for 6, and Gilchrist at the other end, on whom much depends now, has 26.
And the last boundary, much more orthodox from Warren, still a little extravagant, but he hit that in the middle pass point. I'm not sure if it was quite off the middle, but and the stroke before he advanced down the pitch, and that's fair enough. But then try to cross-bat it over towards mid-wicket somewhere. That was a shot of a tail-ender who's got no respect for his partner. And Warren's partner here is Adam Gilchrist, who happens to be quite a good player.
Had he been stumped for naught, it would have looked silly,
stumped, bowled, I mean, out in any manner. I mean,
yes.
You expect the captain to give you a right royal talking to when you got back in the dressing room, and the rest of your team.
Simon Jones now in over the wicket, bowls to Gilchrist. Gilchrist works that away off his pads down to fine leg. Hoggard is there. No, he's not. It's Giles who's there. And unleashes a long throw, a good one too, comes into Jones, and a single there to Gilchrist. He's 27. It's 268 for 6. Warren and Gilchrist both come down the wicket and start prodding away. And there are actually a fair number of indentations. There were a few after yesterday's play, and I dare say a few more today. And the side having to bat last in this match, namely Australia, will not be looking forward to having to chase a big-ish total. Here is Jones now, coming in from the pavilion end. He's up there, he bowls to Warren, and Warren goes to pull this, and the ball, whether he makes contact or it hits him on the pad, I honestly wouldn't put money on either. It went out about 5 yards on the leg side. It was Jones rather than Peterson who got there, but it was neck and neck. And Warren, having initially thought of a run, decided against it, or maybe it was Gilchrist that said no from the other end.
And quite rightly, Adam Gilchrist now casually, almost as if in secret, wanders down the pitch and has a quiet word.
Cautions him.
To his very senior partner, that man who's played 125 test matches, and said, pull your head in.
Very quietly. Jones it is, in now, bowls to Warren. Warren comes forward, beaten outside the off stump. And through it goes to Jones. And Warren may now be thinking, well, I better go back to being a bit more robust. But Gilchrist down the wicket again, but Warren doesn't want to talk to him. He's walked away to square leg. And I don't think there was any deliberate intent not to communicate. Now they are communicating at long range. Warren's come back to the wicket, walks down, gives a bit of it a prod. And it's good, interesting, tight, entertaining cricket, just as it has been from the very first ball at the start of the match yesterday. And here is Simon Jones. He's up to the wicket now. He bowls to Warren. Warren has a slashing drive outside the off stump, misses. Jones goes down on his knees behind the wicket, takes the ball, and there is no run. Well, it's a very much an in and out innings, isn't it, this one?
Well, I'm not sure if we're at the right game. It's a bit more like baseball, because Warren's got 2 strikes against him, a couple of balls and a couple of foul shots as well, and he's 1 strike away from having to leave.
That one actually left the right-hander off the seam.
And to be honest, the ball before where he played a miss, he played an orthodox defensive shot, and it did move off the seam. And Jones has just got a bit of reverse swing going at the moment, and bowling very well.
Jones is coming in again now. Part umpire Kirsten, he's there. He bowls to Warren. Warren's forward, beaten again. That opened him up completely. Pushing almost a walking forward shot outside the off stump. He didn't get a touch. It didn't hit the off stump. But for all Warren knew, it might have done either.
Strike 3.
Through to Jones. Absolutely. But this is very good bowling by Jones, who's just getting the ball to pitch on the seam and move a fraction away from the right-handed Warren, who's been very lucky indeed not to get a nick on any of these.
A couple of very good deliveries.
And Jones again comes in. A big man leaning forward. He's up to the wicket now. A final leap he bowls. And Warren comes forward and plays a peerless off drive for 4. Well. We've seen everything, haven't we, in this over? He's now got 8, and it's 272 for 6.
Oh, and as a bowler, Jones did actually mouth a few expletives to himself. But that is the kind of over that really annoys you. You've beaten the bat with some great deliveries, and you do ruin it. It was full. It was a half volley. And Warren's good enough to hit half volleys for 4. It's the good length deliveries he has trouble with, and Jones knows that in the end it becomes a moral victory for Warren, even though he bowled some great balls there.
And isn't it extraordinary how many times a good over ends with concentration goes and the ball goes for 4?
It is a frequent occurrence.
And it just argues, I think, lack of concentration by the bowler, perhaps almost trying too hard. I don't know. Anyway, it's going to be Ashley Giles to continue. Jones 12 overs 2 maidens 1 for 53, and Giles 20 overs 2 maidens 2 for 62 is about to start his 21st over, bowling to Adam Gilchrist. And he's up to the wicket now. Over the wicket he bowls. Gilchrist goes back, just runs it out on the offside. And Warne is thinking of a single from the other end, but I think Gilchrist said no very firmly. I dare say Gilchrist has got to take charge of the calling out there with Warne, but it looks to me as though Warne is not the most certain of callers. I wouldn't say quite in the Graham Wood class, which you remember well, but or the Geoffrey Boycott class. But here comes Giles, bowls, and it's pushed back there by Gilchrist. Giles misfields, but only very slightly, and it's Vaughan who tidies up. Graham Wood wasn't the best, was he, between the two?
Well, early on in his innings, a bit jittery. He and John Dyson had a few misunderstandings.
And it is Giles again into Gilchrist. Gilchrist comes forward and drives, and will get a single down there to Flintoff at a quite deep and wide mid-off. So 28 to Gilchrist, 273 for 6. Graham Wood, who of course played not open batting for Australia, but also for Western Australia. And
he's probably listening to us right now on the West Coast.
Well, if he is, very good wishes to you, I think.
It's only 11:15 in the evening in Perth.
I hope you've got something there to charge your glass with. 11:15 is about the time when glasses really become very rechargeable, don't they?
So being the head of a brewery organisation, he probably has got something to recharge his glass with.
Here comes Giles now, over the wicket, bowls to Warne, and Warne's is on the pad, trying to play him across the line then. He's pushing away to leg, hit him on the pad, and it was Strauss there from Silly Point who came forward and picked up. And we've now got a Silly Point coming in a forward short leg coming in as well as a Silly Point, and a slip, so 3 men round the bat, and then there's Vaughan at short fine leg. And Giles it is, up to the wicket now, he bowls, and Vaughan is going down the wicket, he's bowled. What an extraordinary way to get out. Vaughan went down, had a great big sloggeroo, heaving high towards the cherry picker, and was handsomely bowled. How quite extraordinary. What can you say about that, Henry?
When I get my breath back, I'll say something.
Righto. Until then, we'll tell you that Australia are now 273 for 7, and Warne will go off into the dressing room, and I don't suppose anyone will want to talk to him for a bit, and I doubt he'll want be too pleased to talk to anyone either. Giles has got his 3rd wicket, but really, if ever I've seen a batsman committing suicide in a tight situation when it was imperative that he should stay there with the only recognised batsman, it was this. And yet, from a moment of sheer lunacy, took control of Warne.
Well, we talked about the stroke 2 overs ago when he danced down the wicket and cross-batted Slogger. Was lucky because the ball hit him on the pad. This time it didn't. It got through and bowled him, and that is an embarrassing dismissal.
But for someone, who scored 2 first-class hundreds this year for Hampshire, can bat a bit. And with Gilchrist at the other end, he just had to make one end steady, didn't he?
All of those reasons.
Yes.
Exactly all of those reasons. Just play Giles defensively. Let Gilchrist do the scoring. You get a bad ball. Warne's good enough to put a bad ball away. As I said, he's a reasonable player. But to try and hoik that, to come down the wicket and try and hoik it, his footwork actually destroyed the bat swing. And he swung over the top of the ball. And that was an embarrassing dismissal.
Well, Brett Lee has come in, built for war with all manner of armed guards and goodness knows what. He has a conversation of an animated variety with Gilchrist, and Lee wearing a sleeveless sweater, and then he takes guard from umpire Bowden, and umpire Bowden gives him guard, but he gives him guard with a fair number of gestures. He never does anything totally straightforwardly and simply, umpire Bowden, but he's had quite a good match so far, although I don't think Shane Warne would think so. 1 or 2 LBWs I think he might have felt that he should have had in England's first innings, England's only innings to date. We've now got 4 men round the bat, Slip, Gully, Silly Point and a forward short leg, and here's Giles in to bowl to Lee. Lee is forward, and that one runs back down the offside to Giles. It is the end of the over, And Australia 273 for 7 in reply to England's 407. And that's at 134 behind. Lee has not yet scored, 28 to Gilchrist, and Giles 21 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 63.
We've just seen a replay of the Warne dismissal from the camera in the stumps, and it looks worse when you look at that replay. It doesn't get any better each time you see it. It was a shot of a pretty poor number 11, to be honest. McGrath would have been filthy with himself had he played that shot, particularly with his bad ankle.
Well, there you are. It's a funny game, cricket, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
I mean, this chap has taken more Test wickets than anyone in the history of the game, and a vastly experienced cricketer suddenly bats as if there's a screw loose. Not that I'm meaning that there is, but I mean, he went, didn't he? He lost all sorts of sense for a moment. Jones now starts into Gilchrist. Gilchrist drives, gets one off the inside edge out there to Harmison at deep backward square leg. So 29 now to Gilchrist, 274 for 7. But this is what makes cricket such an intriguing game, isn't it, Henry?
Well, it's a game that we talk about. The most important 6 inches is between your ears. You've got to be able to have the capacity to sum up situations. Yeah, you have some natural physical skills, but when someone's bowling slow at you in particular, that's when the mental aspect of the game becomes even more important. Fast bowlers don't give you time to think. Slow bowlers give you time to think, and maybe that's the problem, that some people shouldn't have time to think.
But you're right, that was certainly a between-the-ears dismissal, wasn't it? If ever I saw one.
Well, particularly given the previous escape.
Well, there we are. We mustn't be too harsh on poor old Warne. He's given us so much fun. Jones now in, bowls at Lee. Lee dabbles at it. The curtain rail shot. He plays forward now, but he played that from the crease, pushing his bat across at the ball. Luckily for him, he was a bit late. He didn't get a nick. Playing it away from his body, taken by Jones.
Okay, we'll get off Warning and we'll talk about this field placement. Simon Jones is bowling superbly.
He is, isn't he?
A little bit of reverse swing, hitting the seam, good control. He's beaten the bat numerous times and he's still just got 2 slips on a gully. Number 9's in. Played a miss at the first one. How about a bit of supporting the slips?
Indeed. Here comes Jones. He's up to the wicket. He bowls that to Lee. It's edge. Oh, and he's dropped there, I think, at second slip. Flintoff dived to his right, got a hand under it. I think he's hurt his finger. I think he just got there. Lee knew little about it. He flirted with it outside the off stump, and indeed what Henry Lawson said is now happening. A third slip. Trescothick has come in. I think did it just bounce in front of him?
Yeah, look, I don't think it quite carried.
No, I don't think it did.
Actually, it was a good effort from Flintoff because he had to go a long way to his right because there's no third slip there, and I'm not going to put that down as a chance. I think it's just hit the ground.
Yeah. And here is Jones, fairly prancing in up to the wicket. He's there now. He bowls to Lee, and Lee pushes this away on the onside. The ball was on about leg stump, and it's Peterson there who fields it wide mid-on, throws back to Jones. And this match really has everyone's pulses ticking over, hearts ticking over. It's tremendous stuff. Goodness me, the tension, the excitement. There's been some wonderful stroke play. There's been a marvellously dogged innings from Langer, brilliant stroke play from Ponting, and all this, you might say, all this, the sort of the third course after the main course yesterday when we had England scoring 407 in the day. And here comes Jones again. He's up to the wicket. He bowls to Lee. Lee goes back and crashes that once away square. And I think it must be going for 4. That Giles is after it. And indeed it crosses over the rope. And it was short and wide, and Lee flung the kitchen sink at it and hit it away for 4. So 278 for 7. A helicopter flies busily over proceedings without having a rather colourful Australian tail, if you see what I mean, which the earlier helicopters have been carrying around and advertising.
It probably dropped that flag when it saw Shane Warne's dismissal.
That's a very good point.
But that ball from Jones, that's his bad one. He bowls every over. That was a long hop.
And we got 3 slips to gully, backward point, shortish extra cover, mid-off. And now Harmison at mid-off goes across and has a word with Jones. 2 men on the leg side, a mid-on and a fine leg. And Jones has finished speaking with Harmison and starts in again in bright sunshine. He up to the wicket now. He bows to Lee, and Lee tries to play this one away on the leg side. It's hit on the pad. The ball rolls back down the pitch to Jones. The crowd roars. I'm not quite certain why. And at the end of the over, it's 278 for 7. 4 to Brett Lee and 29 to Adam Gilchrist. And after another word of wisdom from Henry Lawson, it will be Jim Maxwell.
Oh, well, Australia's still 130 behind, and that 130 could be hard to get the way Simon Jones is bowling. It's been some really good stuff from him. Some very good control. Just with that odd ball where it's probably a mental lapse rather than a technical one. Although after the long hop he did a kick at the foot marks, which have been a problem all day to him, where they were filled in overnight. And yeah, bowlers always look for that excuse, but often it's a valid one. But Jones is bowling very well. Giles is doing his job, and there's some pressure on the Australians. James.
And Giles bowls, and back goes Gilchrist and forces the ball away through the offside. Sending it out there for a single towards cover. 7 for 279. Gilchrist is 30, and now they've got a chance to have a crack at Lee, with Australia today losing Hayden for a first ball duck, Ponting 61, Martin run out for 20, Clark made 40, Katic 4, Langer a defiant 82 from 154 balls with 7 falls, and Warne 2 swipes for 4 and another swipe that missed, out for 8. Lee back, hit on the pads, an appeal for LBW, probably pitched outside leg. Oh, the crowd are going though. They're right behind England here. Well, 80% of them. And that ball just hustled on to Lee, but probably pitched just outside the line of the leg stump. The replay on the screen indicates, that was close.
It was worth a shout.
Giles bowls again. Lee comes forward and he clips him away to the onside, out towards deep mid-wicket for a single. Looked less leg stumpish on the replay than earlier evidence from behind, where it's a bit hard to tell, but just your initial reaction was, where did it pitch? Oh, we're getting the forensic on TV here.
It pitched outside leg.
Yeah.
And given the fact that Shane Warne was not getting too many LBWs, he tested Billy Bowden's consistency at the moment.
Oh, well, you got it right. Giles bowls now. Gilchrist drives, miscues, and drags it along the ground down towards long on for a single. And it's 7 for 281. So a day that started brilliantly for England with the quick dismissal of Hayden. And it's been a grind for Australia to try and establish some domination over the bowling, and they've never really done it. A few partnerships, but nothing has been sustained. Giles bowls, and Lee is back, and he just keeps the ball out of his stumps. He got a thick inside edge past the leg stump. Almost bowled there. It's Gilo's day. 7 for 282.
Oh, would he like to take 5?
He's a good chance.
He's
shortening
he's shortening
the man of the match.
That's a good point.
He is. The way this game is going, Australia having to bat last, don't you think?
Yeah, look, it's not turning here at the moment.
He's just bowling on the spot. He bowls to Gilchrist. That stopped a little bit in turn. That turned, and he played it to short leg, and Bell picked it up. 7 for 282, and Gilo 22 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 67.
He's doing the job in many ways, because the Australians allow him to do it. Particularly, look at the dismissals. Ponting a lap sweep, instead of belting it, just trying to help it around the corner. Good ball that Guy Clark. I thought that was a really good piece of bowling. And the Warne dismissal, well, that wasn't a good piece of batting, but he's doing the job.
Well, that's the situation of the game, and for those that may want to do a few other things at this time of the day or the night, drinks are on the field at 7 for 282. Just chatting away with Jeff Lawson here. We still have another 23 overs to come tonight, with an hour of scheduled play, so we'll certainly be here at 6 o'clock. Whether or not Australia is still batting by then remains to be seen, but Gilchrist hasn't escaped as yet. They've pinned him down. He hasn't been able to get into the flow of excitement that we normally see from him when he comes in at number 7.
No, and they bowled quite well to him. I'm just saying that I think Simon Jones is bowling a terrific spell at the moment. getting a bit of reverse swing and hitting the seam, a bit of bounce, good control. It's been really good stuff from Jones. We saw glimpses of it at Lords, and we all thought he was under-bowled at Lords, particularly in that second innings. I think he only rolled 8 or 9 overs, and perhaps the captain should have looked his way a little more often, but it's been some really good attacking stuff at the moment, coupled with say the batting philosophy of Shane Warne, which was bizarre to say the least. And Warne should have had his head down and looking to give the strike to Gilchrist, and letting Gilchrist do the scoring, and Warne picking off the odd bad ball that might come along, because Warne can bat, and he can put away a half volley long hop as well as any batsman can, but they seem to be hell-bent on trying to hit Giles over the stand.
It was personal, was it? Because Giles was trying to clonk him yesterday and fell LBW. I mean, what would have been going through his mind?
Well, I don't think, to be honest, I think Warne is one of these who plays the man. He bowls the ball. When he's bowling, he does a bit because he plays the mind games, but when he's batting, I can't believe he'd try to somehow bruise Ashley Giles' ego. You've got to hit Giles for 15 sixes to do that, not one and then get out. It was just a really poor shot. Made all the worse for the fact that he'd already tried it once and missed, and was lucky to escape, and here it was 2 overs later playing the same shot. Yeah, and I wonder what Ricky Ponting said to him when he went back in the dressing rooms. I mean, what does Ponting say to his 500 wicket man, nearly 600 wicket man, and veteran of 125 test matches? Does he actually admonish him for that kind of shot? I mean, I hope something was said. Maybe it was just the filthy looks of his teammates that conveyed the message. But it was not good test cricket at a time when Australia just needed him to put together a respectable partnership. They're still 120 odd behind, and they don't want to bat last year and chase 300, I don't think.
Yes, I don't know. It looks terrible when you see a replay, as I just did a moment ago, of the Warne dismissal. I'll wait for Jones after drinks because he's coming in now, and Lee is edging, and he's caught at second slip by Flintoff. First ball after the resumption. Lee's out. Straightforward catch into the safe hands of Freddie Flintoff at second slip, and he's jumped upon there by Simon Jones in celebration. It's 8 for 282, and Lee's on his way for 6.
And well earned, Simon Jones. That's another ball that's pitched and gone away. I mean, Lee's playing a fairly authentic forward defence at it. It took the outside edge. Good, easy catching height for Flintoff on that occasion. You love all your catches that simply come like that. But Jones really worked hard and deserved to get that wicket. And it was catching with a good delivery again. Hitting the seam, going away, a little bit of bounce. Exactly what fast bowlers need to do.
Cue Jason Gillespie. Can he stick around again, as he's so often done in the past? Gilchrist's going to run out of partners the way this is going. This is an excellent spell of bowling from Simon Jones. And the combination of Giles and Jones looks like giving England a lead of 100 or so now.
Well, it does, but you did mention Gillespie coming in, who is one of the best blockers I've ever seen. But having said that, Jones is bowling wicket-taking deliveries, and even if Gillespie just shuffles in behind it as he does and plays little French cricket shots, Jones is bowling well enough to get the edge.
So just on Warne, he has been in good form this season, and it was as if he was backing himself, and it ended up in a horrendous swipe. He just wanted to take Giles on. It was premeditated, wasn't it?
It looked that way. But if you want to attack Giles, try to hit him back over his head. Don't use your feet, come down the wicket and try to swipe it over mid-wicket. Dizzy doesn't want to come out and bat today. Oh, here he is.
He's arrived. It's taken a while, but he's making his way out, fresh from a half century in the game at Worcester, 49 not out at Leicester, and he hung about for quite some time at Lords. They did drop him, and Jones at the moment getting some bounce and a bit of movement here. It's been a hot and cold day for him. He started with 2 maidens, then went for 13 and then 10, found a bit of control, and then in this spell he's picked up 2 wickets. He had Langer to a full-pitch swinging delivery, leg before on the crease for 82, and now he's dismissed Lee for 6. So Australia obviously had high hopes at the start of the day of getting somewhere, if not past, England's total on a pitch that still looks full of runs. But England's bowling has been a lot better than Australia's was yesterday, and well, it's just the way things get thrown, I suppose. Perhaps Australia a little thrown off their game by that injury to McGrath, and England went after them and pursued them all day. They hit 10 sixes yesterday. We haven't had one today. In fact, we haven't looked like having one. Now Jones runs in, he bowls to Gillespie. Gillespie pushes forward. He's almost leg before, but he got his bat down at the last moment and sent it away behind square. They're all about to leap in the air to the umpire, but at the death with that short backlift, he managed to knock it away behind square.
Well, Jones has been bowling outswing with the ball, and Wise had decided to try Gillespie with an in-swinger. And when the ball was 3/4 away towards the batsman, Gillespie was playing back and across. And once you see the batsman play back to a full delivery moving in, you get excited. But the bat came down and he just squirted it out, as he does so often.
Now Gilchrist on 31. Jones bowls to him and he hits the ball hard behind square and takes the single that's on offer down there. He's not going to knock them back at this point of the innings. Australia need as many as they can scramble. 8 for 284. And the roughened up ball is doing a bit here for Simon Jones. And he gets another opportunity at Gillespie as they all crowd into the slip cordon.
And this is a great time when your ball's going reverse swing. If you want to bowl in and out, you have a short leg. So the ball that comes into him might take bat, pad and get caught. So you can tack on both sides of the wicket.
Jones runs in and Gillespie comes forward to a Yorker length delivery right up near and maybe just outside the off stump. He watched it keenly and kept it out on the offside. But this is another important little period of the game. England would really want to get Gillespie, or Gilchrist more so, out quickly before any partnership can develop, because Australia have had this habit of squeezing some vital runs out of the last couple. Kasparovich, of course, is at 11. 8 for 284. Jones away from the pavilion end. He runs into Gillespie. Gillespie goes forward, watching the ball very keenly once again and pushing it out on the offside. So Hayden made 0, Ponting 61, Martin 20, Clark 40, Katic 4, Langer 82, Warne 8 and Lee 6. It's been a very good day of Test cricket, really competitive and tense, and Australia fighting for every run against this purposeful attack. 3 slips, couple of gullies, and Jones runs in and bowls, and Gillespie goes forward and plays the ball out on the offside. A little crab-like prod to finish the over. Another good over from Simon Jones. 13 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 60. And his spell since tea, 5 overs, no maidens, 2 for 20. It's 8 for 284.
Yeah, well bowled. Well bowled, Jones. And the skipper's entitled to keep him on and let him pick up another couple if possible. But it's amazing that Gillespie comes in and watches the ball closely and mostly hit the middle of the bat, and the others are struggling because they're trying to attack too much. Certainly the Australians sometimes get criticised for over-aggression. And it's certainly the case for Warne today.
Giles bowls and back goes Gilchrist, and he plays a cheeky stroke, bunting the ball away around the corner. He walked way across to the offside and he paddled the ball around the corner top edgily for a single, and he moves to 33. And Gillespie will have the strike here to Ashley Giles.
It's almost a party piece, wasn't it? I think he tried to help it really fine. That was the object of it, and maybe get 2 or 4, but the ball was a little full to be doing that.
So he hasn't taken to Giles at all as yet. Has he had a serious attempt so far to deposit him anywhere?
No, and normally he goes over mid-wicket or long on, and Vaughan's had 2 men stationed out there, and that might be a cause for inhibition.
So he's had him subdued. Now, here's Gillespie. Two-eyed stance, a la old Jim Parks, as he watches the ball, and he goes on the sneaking push. No backlift, like a man with a shovel instead of a bat. Just knock it out. Slip gully, silly point, and a short leg in there. And Gillespie getting into his front foot motion. Kicks the ball away as it pitched outside the line of the leg stump. Now, this is a game he quite enjoys, and he's becoming a specialist number 10 in the Australian side, and occasional night watchman since they reverted to that policy. Giles goes in towards him, and he's pushing forward once more on the bounce to the offside, and Strauss lurking in close knocked it down. So Gillespie 1, Gilchrist 33. And the old Barmy Army chant is reverberating around the ground as Giles goes in from the city end over the wicket. Gillespie goes forward with his stalk-like approach to it all. The bat comes out at the last minute from somewhere behind the pad and kills the ball dead down the offside.
Well, I know the stances Jim Parks like, but I think the trousers are as well.
Well, he could play. Quilted it. Giles bowls. Forward goes Gillespie to a quicker ball. He played it on the bounce away to the offside. So 8 for 285. I think it's at the Jones end where there could be a bit more action taking place, with Giles doing the body of work here today. 23 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 68. Flintoff, by comparison, has 13 overs, Jones 14, Hoggard just 8, and Harmison 11.
Well, maybe the skipper has recognised the error of his ways from Lords. His bowlers certainly repaid him with some very good bowling.
The field spreads for Gilchrist. Vaughan's sending there's only about a slip and a couple either side of the wicket as he goes outside the off stump and misses. Gilchrist trying to hit that somewhere away to the offside, but he missed out. He's got to deal with a third man fairly fine, a deep point, a long off, mid-on's back, not all the way out to the line. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and then vice versa, as it were. Vaughan mid-wicket, Peterson at cover, and Trescothick, of course, at slip. Jones with this reverse movement moves up and bowls, and Gilchrist drives at this, and it goes off an edge, flying down to the boundary for 4 through about second or third slip. As good as hitting it in the middle. He got the result, maybe a little luckily, and he's 37.
Yeah, went at it hard, and that's fair enough, but I mean, Jones is entitled to be a little disappointed with the field setting because he's moving it around. He's not bowling straight here. He's getting movement both ways. He's bowling very well, and even if it is Gilchrist on strike, he's probably entitled to have another slip at least.
Yeah, that was going to second slip. Trescothick's actually moved to second slip now. Well, they're trying to protect the boundaries. Let's see if they're successful. Jones bowls short. He swings. He misses. Hits him on the body. And the bounce, the slower bounce may have done him there. So he was trying to hit that somewhere into the crowd, who haven't had anything to catch all day. Very disappointing. Not 1-6.
What is going on? 10 yesterday.
Better directed, controlled bowling today than Australia.
I think England bowled very, very well indeed. And just as some Australian batsmen have started to get going, they've got out. The 40s, 30s. Langer was in defensive mode and has been the core of this innings. He was unlikely to hit any sixes.
Now Jones runs in again, and Gilchrist swings into this. He's hit it hard on the bounce to backward square, and it's fielded out there by Giles. He got inside it, and hoisted it out to deep backward, and it landed a few yards in front of Ashley Giles. One more to Gilchrist, who's 38. 8 for 290. England know there's still something to be done here. They don't want this partnership to develop, and they're trying to work out ways of restricting them. And well, one of the best is to get Gillespie down to face Jones.
There's so many times in the past that the Australians have made comebacks from possible positions.
Jones is bowling. Gillespie's playing defensively. Oh, he's really smelling it there. Right back and across and behind the line. Gillespie looking in good form, but Jones hasn't tested him with one of those deliveries that shape away. And now Rudy Kirchen saying to Michael Vaughan, that's a warning, running on the pitch. He's been warned for running on the pitch. First warning. Getting in too tight.
You don't mind your first warning at 8, for? You get away with a couple.
So there, mark that down on the note paper. Here comes Jones to bowl, and Gilchrist comes forward and slides a full pitch delivery, almost full toss away behind point to complete the over. So Jones, 15 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 65. Gilchrist's 38. Gillespie's 1, and for different reasons. This has been an absorbing day of Test cricket, and to tell you more about it after Henry, it will be Henry.
Thank you, James.
It'll be Jonathan Agnew.
Well, it has been an absorbing day, and it's a day that England could be very happy with at the moment.
My turn.
Just need 2 wickets. There's still 20 overs left in the day, so plenty of cricket left here. But even though Australia are 8 down, England need to keep concentrating. We know how dangerous Gilchrist is, and we know how defensive Gillespie is.
Absolutely. There's 117 runs in it at the moment, 290 for 8. Gilchrist on strike on 38. Giles bowls on the leg stump. He picks that off easily enough. He'll get 1. One of the 3 men out there on the leg side. Strauss throws it back in, so that brings Gillespie down on strike. He's got so much hair he can't tuck it under his helmet now, but he's taking guard meticulously.
He must get shocking helmet hair after a long innings.
It wouldn't be a regular event though, would it?
Gillespie?
He could prod around.
He's been known to hang about.
Well, he's got plenty of company around the bat. He's got a forward short leg and then 3 in the offside. Slip, gully and a silly point. 291 for 8. Gillespie with a very open stance, waits for Giles, who comes in over the wicket and bowls outside the off stump. He lets it go through Gillespie, and it's taken there by Jones. So Giles has taken 3 for 69. He's in his 24th over. And he gives the ball a rub again. Gillespie, almost like Peter Willey there with that open stance, waits for him, and now Giles brings him forward there on the off stump, and it's picked up by Strauss at silly point. So 2 men under helmets, a couple of slips. There's a mid-off, extra cover, mid-on, deep backward square leg, and a short fine leg. Everyone walking in now. Giles is on his way, and Gillespie drives up towards extra cover, a confident looking stroke. Jones feels, Jones having just picked up a warning for running on the pitch. And there's no run. 291 for 8, and Vaughan, having seen that shot, comes across into the offside. He's going to backward point. So 116 behind, that's the situation with Australia. And there's only Kastrovic to come. I haven't seen Bat very often. What's his credentials?
Well, I mean, not the worst. He's actually been number 9 for Queensland. I think he's made 100 for Worcestershire. Oh, no, that's right. I think of Andy Bickle.
Yes, here's Gillespie coming forward and prodding out a full-length ball from round the wicket. Giles having a change of plan here. That's played back to the bowler. 291 for 8. Rub of the ball on his trousers from Giles. Spins himself a catch or 2. And in he comes, round the wicket, and bowls. Oh, that goes straight through everybody. Certainly Gillespie, they may have brushed something of Jones. There was no shot played, so that could be a dead ball. Let's be signalled a bye. I wonder how on earth Geraint Jones missed that. Now, there was no shot played, so nothing got in the way, and yet somehow the ball went straight through. 292 for 8. does mean that Gillespie will be on strike at the start of the next over. I don't think England will mind that particularly.
Deliberate ploy.
Could have been. And the new ball is due in 9 overs. That'll be something that England will keep an eye on. In fact, I see Vaughan there having a chat with Harmison at mid-off, saying possibly, well, look, how many overs do you want before we take that new ball? Do you reckon you can get 3 out of him before they take the new ball to get him on to try and have a go at Gillespie?
You like to bowl him out before the new ball came along.
Yes.
You don't really want to get ahead of yourself with that. Yeah. Yep, skipper's got that at the back of the mind. Yeah, just quickly go 8, 9 to go. Okay. However, I want to get these two out now.
292 for 8. Just Kasparovich to come. And there's 115 runs in it at the moment. That's in England's advantage as Jones bowls a bouncer, which Gillespie plays off the back foot. It came up very slowly. And Gillespie was able to prod that down into the offside. Giles is the fielder. And Gillespie wanders around. Bill has a Red Bull. One of those days, is it? Bill, you'll be doing all sorts of things tonight. They won't be able to control you. It won't help your screen, though, I'm afraid.
I think we're dining together tonight, aren't we?
Are we? Oh. Can of that inside, you will all be in trouble. You'll be singing and dancing and telling appalling jokes. In goes Jones, and that's a Yorker, or at least a full-length ball, which is driven up to mid-off by Gillespie and fielded by Vaughan.
Now, we've got Merv Hughes to do that.
I don't think Merv's invited, is he? Haven't got Merv tonight, have we? Not sure.
You don't have to invite him for him to turn up.
I'm not sure Brockencote Hall out in the wilds of, is it Worcestershire down there, is really ready for Merv, is it?
Probably not.
Clear the place, I think.
We'll get more provisions in.
It's certainly not a place to be wearing shorts. In goes Jones, and that keeps it a little bit low. It was short of a length. Gillespie back. Plays that away carefully enough, but a little cautiously, and he's looking up at the screen there for a replay, I think, just to see if that really did keep low, whether it was just a misjudgment on his part. But whatever it was, Peterson now comes into field at short extra cover, and Bell is being moved from fourth slip into the leg side. Backward short leg. Gillespie looks around. If you look at this field as a tail ender, you're thinking short. You're thinking rib tickler.
This will be an in-swinging Yorker.
And for Jeff Lawson, you think double bluff. In goes Jones, and it's short. That's a glorious stroke. An imperious back foot drive from Gillespie, who may have surprised even himself with that shot.
He certainly surprised us.
It was a very good stroke indeed. And that's one of the hardest shots to play. That, a forcing stroke through the offside off the back foot.
And a classic example, I think, of a bowler in two minds. He got halfway between Yorker and bouncer and bowled a long hop.
He did, rather. It was as if he didn't quite know what he was supposed to do there. With his field set for a short ball.
Set for a short ball, all the double bluff, and it came in between somewhere.
Right, he's 5 not out. Gillespie, he's faced 20 balls. And he'll be starting to feel like a batsman. 296 for 8. And Jones runs in past the umpire. He's there, he bowls, that's the bouncer. And it's fended off by Gillespie. Certainly adequately enough. Giving no sign there of giving any ground. And right up on his toes, as a tall man, of course, is able to fend that off. And it was picked up by Peterson.
I think I said some stats during Lords. The average balls faced in Gillespie in his last 10 innings was something like 80.
Is it?
So he does lurk.
He hangs around.
He's a lurker and a nicker and a nudger, and occasionally plays Bradman-esque off the back foot.
Well, there's a man out there now at deep point, is it? That's extraordinary field setting. In goes Jones, and he bowls, and that comes cutting back towards Gillespie. They were going to give him one, I think, saying, come on, take the single off the last ball, we'll have you on strike. He could have had one there, playing up to mid-off, but declined, so Gilchrist will be on strike. With Australia exactly 111 runs behind. Unlucky number again, Jeff. You were here last time with 87s, weren't you?
Well, it all happened on 88, though, didn't it?
It did. 296 for 8, so 111 behind. Giles is going to continue. I wonder for how long. I wonder if it is Harmison time. He hasn't bowled since tea. In fact, he and Hoggard have kept the lowest of low profiles. Hoggard has been off the field a couple of times, suggesting that he might not be very well. That sort of going off the field, and you've spotted Harmison off the field. Perhaps there's something going around the England dressing room at the moment.
But they're not allowed to read those while on the field.
Indeed, here's Giles bowling to Gilchrist, who might want two here if he can do. He's got it absolutely in the right place for a very cunning and perfectly placed two. That was well played. And Vaughan, I think, had to review that because he can virtually play that shot every ball. He simply dabbed it into the offside. There's no one there saving the single. And if you place it absolutely perfectly, as Gilchrist did there, it's 2 runs every time. I don't like that field.
No, it's all too easy on the offside, isn't it? I mean, the leg side's a little bit packed. Let's have a look at that.
Giles bowls, and Gilchrist comes down the pitch, and well, he tried to hit that through the offside. This is the plan, presumably, to try and get him driving through extra cover there, where there's an enormous gap when most people are over on the leg. And he didn't quite get to the pitch of that. He drove through it. He's a little bit fortunate, perhaps. So this is the theory. They're going to try and get him driving across whatever spin there is there, but he mows that across the line out to square leg, who's allowing a single but not actually on the boundary. It's Strauss in that rather in-between position, and 1 run is taken. 2.99 for 8. Another slurp of Red Bull from Bill. Dear oh dear.
Tip some in your computer, Bill. The screen might come to life.
It's got that sort of reputation, hasn't it, Red Bull?
It's actually a good advertising idea.
Well, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just a little bit fearful of what might happen tonight over the dinner table.
You can sit next to him.
2.99 for 8. And Gillespie squats over his bat. He's on 5. Giles round the wicket, bowls to him. He's forward there, playing that comfortably enough. And Giles picks the ball up. You still haven't put this with Hayden's first golden duck in Test cricket on these records, Bill.
I've confirmed it.
Giles bowls a ball that's well flighted on the leg stump. It's padded away by Gillespie. Not getting his bat anywhere near that because he's got Bell hovering just a couple of yards away for a catch there, whether it come off the inside edge into the pad or maybe off Gillespie's glove. He simply keeps everything out of the way and kicks that one away. In comes Giles again, a quicker one I reckon. Yes it is, and that's pushed up towards short extra cover. Flintoff fields, and Gillespie survives, and more than survives. He looks perfectly comfortable there at the moment. 2.99 for 8 is the score, so Australia are 108 runs behind, and they've got those couple of wickets left. They've got Casper down there in the dressing rooms, no doubt playing all sorts of shots in front of the mirrors there, making himself feel good.
Yeah, and Casper is, as I used to about number 9 for Queensland. A good number 9. That sort of sums him up. I don't know. He's estimated too many runs in Test cricket recently, though. Keeps getting out for not too many, but pretty handy at number 11. Will he be as good as McGrath? We don't know. McGrath 30 runs without dismissal, I think, at Lords.
Yeah, so that was slightly against the run of form, wasn't it?
Well, a little bit maybe. He would argue that his game's improving.
There is a change, and again, this interests me. And I wonder how Harmison and Hoggard are. Well, Harmison in particular, because Flintoff's coming back, having already bowled since the tea break. It wasn't a long spell. He bowled us 3 overs, but he bowled 4 before it. So I wonder if Harmy is all right.
We'll save them for the next new ball or even the second innings. 7 overs to the new ball.
Indeed. I think that's more likely the planning. He's there standing at mid-on. And let's look at the field that Flintoff has here for Gilchrist. There's one slip who is wide, is at second slip. There's a third man, a backward point, a deep point, way over to our right there in front of the Hollies stand, which is rather lively at the moment. An extra cover, and a mid-off on the fence. In goes Flintoff, and that's clipped away by Gilchrist, only for 1, and he's not the least bit bothered, it seems, about exposing Gillespie. The 300 comes up. So Australia's 107 behind their supporters, and there are many of them here. Put their hands together. And the field changes round now for Gillespie. I think Gilchrist probably doing the right thing there. You never quite tell, can you?
Well, we know Gillespie can defend. So take the run. It's not a problem. Wait for a ball. It might be able to hit for 4, but it's, yes, you're
You've seen Victor Marx in Godfather mode before, and I don't mean in sort of a dodgy suit.
The Godfather of Somerset.
Yeah, he's got his godson here, which is rather nice, and Uncle Victor's doing the rounds, which is all rather heartwarming. 300 for 8. Didn't have him as sort of an Al Capone. I can't see Victor as that quite. In goes Flintoff, and that's outside the off stump. There's no stroke from Gillespie.
I thought you turned up in a Stetson, a dark suit, and a carnation, and a violin case or something.
Well, I hope not.
Which would have been unusual for Victor to turn up for the cricket like that.
Well, while we're talking about the Red Bull and the effects of Red Bull on Bill, I just wonder if Red Bull will do anything for Victor. I mean, that would be the ultimate test, wouldn't it?
It's unlikely.
If he suddenly, I don't know, had a burst of energy or something, that really would be the ultimate test. 300 for 8. And Gillespie's on 5. In goes Flintoff and bowls a short ball, heaved into the pitch. But Gillespie again very calmly stands up and plays that away into the offside. Vaughan is the fielder. And there's no run. Any effect yet, Bill? You seeing double or scoring double quick or anything?
It's not a matter I wish to discuss with strangers.
Right. Well, it makes the stats come twice as quickly to you all. Something like that.
Keep me awake listening to you.
Well, that's obviously an added bonus. In goes Flintoff, and that's another short one, and actually he didn't play that terribly well. It was a hard one to play, mind you. It was homing in on his throat, and Gillespie got his hands up, and I think it was the bat handle or the gloves. He really needs a short leg, I think, if he was going to bowl that length and that line at Gillespie. Otherwise there's not much point in doing it, and in fact, as we say, that Bell comes trotting up with his helmet on, and he's going to go into that position. But that was a nasty one, really. There aren't many number 10s in Test cricket who relish that. Chin music, they call it. But he played it pretty
Steve
well.
Harmsden usually hits it for 6.
Yes. So Bell at short leg, and it's Flintoff who rushes in and bowls on the off stump. A good length ball, and well played by Gillespie again, getting right behind that. Harmison bends at mid-off to field. There's no run. It's 300 for 8, so Australia are 107 behind. I'm sure lots of people are going to their cars round about now, escaping from their offices, looking forward to a weekend. And it's been another excellent day of Test cricket here. It didn't quite have the pace of yesterday, but then I think that's unlikely. But it's had plenty of excitement. Hayder was out for naught. It's his first golden duck in Test cricket. That was...
Sure.
That was in Hoggard's first over. Bill won't have it, but I can assure you it's true. In goes Flintoff, and that's worked away into the leg side by Gillespie. It came off a thickish inside edge. Jones fields, and that means that Gillespie, having taken that single, will be on strike for the start of the next over. The new ball is now 6 overs away, 301 for 8. So Hayden out for naught, Ponting 61. Ashley Giles got him out. There was wild celebrations here at Edgbaston when that happened. Giles is running around, pointing at people and punching the air and being hugged and kissed and goodness knows what out there. Ponting out for 61. He played very well too and looked well set. Martin was run out on the stroke of lunch. A direct hit by Michael Vaughan from mid-on. Martin was out for 20 again. He looked pretty well set. So did Clark, but he was caught behind off Giles for 40. Just pushing at a quicker ball. 194 for 4, that was. Meanwhile, Langer was still going strong at the other end. He'd been hit on the head, hit in the solar plexus, winded, hit on the gloves. He really was having a pretty rough time, but he was playing a very gutsy role at the other end. He watched as Katic was out for 4, caught behind off Flintoff. That was 208 for 5. Let's break off as Giles starts a new over, and Gillespie comes forward here, prodding us into the offside. There was then a stand of 54 between Langer and Gilchrist. For Langer's innings finally came to an end. LBW to Jones, bit of swing into him, didn't quite move his feet, he hit on the back leg, and it was out. LBW for 82. That was 262 for 6. He batted 4 hours 35 minutes. Here's Giles outside the off stump, no stroke from Gillespie. Vaughan came in and played an absolutely horrific stroke, a wild swipe at Giles. It was reminiscent of Tino Best at Lord's last year, and particularly with Gilchrist batting at the other end. It was a moment of madness from Vaughan. Here's Giles, and that's played away into the offside by Gillespie. No run. So Vaughan bowled by Giles for 8. Lee was caught by Flintoff at second slip off Jones for 6. That was 282 for 8. And now Gillespie's prodding about. Gilchrist is doing what he can, and the deficit for Australia is 106 with 50 minutes left of play tonight. 16 overs are due to be bowled. I doubt we'll have them, and the play will end at 6. Giles comes in and bowls, and that's pushed away again by Gillespie, who rather cheekily thinks about taking a single there, but he's not going to. Peterson comes in from mid-off, and there's no run. But it's been an excellent day's cricket. England just with their noses in front at the moment, but you know with Australia that they have the capability, and particularly with the man out there at the moment, 43 not out, to do anything, frankly. In comes Giles again over the wicket, and Gillespie goes back and fiddles that away to short fine leg. He's done it again. He's taken the strike. Or is there one ball to go? There's one to go. Let's see what England do here. Hopefully they'll be a little more attacking than they have been of Gilchrist, rather than everyone dashing out into the deep, and they'll try and keep him down at this end. But let's have a look.
Doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't at the moment, does it? There are 3 men out of the leg side boundary at the moment. Oh, surely Vaughan has to try and bring the men in on the offside and stop the single. I think he's going to. Yes, he is. He's bringing in deep mid-off, and Harmison there at backward point. And the ball boys are on the move. They seem to suspect something. Going out there to very deep mid-wicket, 2 of them. Well, what have they been up to? As if they've suddenly thought, hang on, Gilchrist's on strike. It may well come our way. You're on the Red Bull, do you reckon, Bill? It might have been. 302 for 8. Now then, Gilchrist looks around. What's he going to do? It's the last ball of the over. Really, he wants to get a single here. Giles bowls to him. He flicks it away to the leg side. He's going for a quick single. They had to be fast here. The throw from Strauss misses, and it may well go for overthrows. It is going for overthrows. It's going for lots of overthrows as Hoggard there goes sliding into the advertising hoardings. So not only did he get his single, but he gets 4 to boot, so he gets a 5. It means that Gilchrist will be on strike. And, well, I suppose Strauss had to throw at it. Let's have a look at the replay to see whether Gilchrist would have been out. If the throw had hit, he probably wouldn't, actually. I think it just got his ground, but Strauss probably feels...
I think he had to throw, yeah, I mean... Yeah, he had to have a go at that.
307 for 8, and Gilchrist is now on 48. The light's starting to deteriorate slightly. And more thoughts from Jeff Lawson and then Henry Blofeld.
Yeah, thanks, Angus. Well, it's been steady, very steady play at the moment, with Australia down to 8 out. Gilchrist scoring runs virtually off the first ball he faced with. Sorry, singles, and Gillespie playing out the rest of the over. It's been tense though, Henry. It's a different flow, a different rhythm to what we've had for 140 overs today, but it's back to a little bit of tense.
They're doing a very good job, these two, and it makes you wonder what Lee and Warren must be thinking about, because Gillespie is faring very well indeed, and these runs could be extremely important when the final accounting is done. Flintoff round the wicket, in, bowls now to Gilchrist. Gilchrist is forward, and that's picked up easily, elegantly and fluently by Michael Vaughan at shortish extra cover. 307 for 8, exactly 100 runs behind England. And Gilchrist, the man that England want out most of all, is 48. He's not cut loose. They've prevented him doing that, but he looks in reasonable control, and he's got a very solid partner, Gillespie, at the other end, who's done all that has been asked of him and more. And Flintoff is in. Bowls now to Gilchrist. Gilchrist just defends, pushing back on the offside. Flintoff himself fields, gives Gilchrist a bit of a lingering look. But in fact, not only, I say, Gillespie's done more than was asked of him, that shot he played off Jones off the back foot was a beauty, wasn't it?
It was a shot of a batsman. He stood up and timed it and placed it. Didn't try to hit it too hard. It was...
How many balls has he faced now, Gillespie, Bill?
Gillespie, 35.
35. Well, you see, he's got 7 runs, but he's still there, making Gilchrist a partner. Here is Flintoff into Gilchrist, who works that away out to Strauss at deep mid-wicket. They go for 1. And so the score 308 for 8, 99 behind now. And I mean, if Australia could get the deficit down to 50 or even 40, it could be very significant. But if they let England go into their second innings leading by 80 or 90, it's going to be quite a big lead on a pitch which looks as though the bounce is going to deteriorate as the game goes on.
It's still played well for 2 days, though.
It has.
Just the odd ball, as in yesterday, today, just the odd balls kept a little low.
But knowing pitches here, it's something that, happens more and more. And now Flintoff over the wicket, in to bowl to Gillespie. Bowls. Gillespie goes back, plays with exemplary fashion down there to Harmison at mid-off, who bends over, rubs the ball, preserving the polish, creating the polish. and on the seat of his trousers. Then he has a word with Flintoff as he walks back. It gets irritating for fielding side when you cannot get through the last wickets. These two now have put on 26 runs. I mean, they've done a very important job for Australia, and every look as though they're going to continue. Flintoff it is. He's in now. He's up to the wicket. He bowled. Oh, the attempt to Yorker. And yes, he's gone. LBW. Gillespie's LBW. That was an absolute beauty. It was right in the block hole. Gillespie had no answer to that at all. It hit him on the toe, I should think. And he was plumb in front. And Rudy Kurtzin gave him the lingering death. The finger going up very, very, very slowly. But it did look, in quick motion at any rate, as though it was very plumb.
Yeah, we went for the Yorker, and it's a good bowl to bowl in Gillespie. He's banged a few in and got him playing nicely off the back foot, but got him to that mode where you're playing back, maybe expecting something short with a short leg in, and then bowled the Yorker. Probably hit him on the full, and did swing in quite a long way, and that was Kurtzen's only question really. Was it swinging too far to miss leg? And it certainly hit him in front of the stumps.
Yes, he did, didn't
and
it?
tail-enders really get that sort of benefit.
Well, this is right, isn't it? But, I mean, for the naked eye, from where we are,
it
more or less...
Absolutely, no questions asked, isn't it?
No, exactly. It did look plumb. When we see it again on the slow-motion replay, then I suppose perhaps doubts may creep in. But, of course, the slow-motion replay is not something that the umpires have the benefit of at any stage. And the Michael Kasparovich, the last man, is striding manfully out, like a man about to walk the plank. He knows he's got to do it. 308 for 9, Australia. A large, rather floppy, magnificent seagull flies across the ground. I think an English seagull, rather enjoying the fall of the 9th wicket, and that Yorker from Flintoff flies away over our left shoulder. We've seen a few pigeons, but it's the first seagull I remember in this match. And Kasparovich now is taking guard. He's had quite a long chat to Gilchrist, who's coming down the wicket, giving it a prod. And Harmison and Flintoff are talking away. Kasparovich has taken guard. He's done a few exercises, bending at the knees. And now he takes up his stance, and here's Flintoff. Coming in now to Kasparovich. He's up to the wicket now. He bowls. A Yorker, it's hit him from in front. And he's out. He's LBW first ball. And Australia are all out for 308. And Kasparovich, LBW, to another complete perfect replica of the ball before, which dismissed Gillespie. Kasparovich is out. LBW bowled Flintoff, naught. And you could hardly wish to see two more perfect Yorkers in successive balls.
Well, as Flintoff began to run in, I'm thinking he's got to bowl the same ball, hasn't he? Full, swinging in. And that was probably missing middle and leg. Oh, sorry, middle and off. Hitting leg right down the bottom. That was as plump as you get, LBW, and a really good piece of bowling. Why don't we see more Yorkers bowled?
Well, I know. I mean, we had the field set, didn't we, for the short stuff. And as you were saying at the time, maybe it's for the double bluff. Well, if it was the double bluff, it came a bit late, but it worked in the end. So those two wickets leave Flintoff on a hat-trick when he comes on to bowl in the second innings. And England, meanwhile, have got a lead of 99, which is quite a considerable lead in the circumstances. Oh,
very good lead in the circumstances. And they keep talking about this pitch on days 4 and 5, getting a little more erratic and bouncing. And as I speak, the groundsmen are sweeping up the pitch, and there's dust flying in all directions with this breeze coming from the west across the ground. So it's obviously a very dry pitch, and they are likely to be the ones that do break up. But it's played quite well for 2 days. But if England can get, well, let's say 350 lead, something of that nature, I think Australia might find it very difficult to keep that out on, say, the 4th and 5th days.
Well, it's going to be very interesting now. We've got, the day's play will end at 6 o'clock, but England have got, 35 minutes batting, and it's going to be interesting to see not only how they go about it, but how the Australian bowlers go about it, and whether it looks much the same as it did yesterday. But I'm sure England, with just 35 minutes left to play, will not go out there to play their strokes in the way they did on the first morning, but will be looking to be there tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it'll be another interesting little period. It's the period we were deprived of yesterday when the rain came right on the close of the England innings. That would have been an exciting 25 minutes last night, but unfortunately the weather intervened, and it might be a torrid time for England, but they will be at least walking to the crease with the knowledge that they've got a lead of almost 100 runs. And I think it's a very respectable lead given the conditions, and it also reinforces what they did yesterday. They were criticised in some ways of being bowled out for 400 and not making 500 or 550, and I thought that was a little bit harsh, but when Australia's 300 is put next to it, it does put it into perspective that it was a good first inning score, no matter that they were bowled out in 80 overs.
Well, this is right, and I mean, getting runs on the board like that, and the way they got them, it was quite a sort of psychological blow for Australia and Australia's bowlers, because they did, whereas England's batsmen had been so timid at Lords, they took the battle to the Australians. They didn't let Warne and Co, so even though he got 4 wickets in the end, he mopped up 3 of the tail, they didn't let him settle into that devastating rhythm which he'd done at Lords, and they were prepared to take risks, and they got away with it. Well, I think one has to say on the first day, the luck that was about probably went England's way. And today has been not such a quick fire day's cricket, but it's been just as fascinating.
Well, it was quick fire up to around the tea break, but Australia was still scoring about 5 and over, and when they lost a couple of wickets, the run rate decreased, and it also decreased because the bowling was very good. And we talked about Jones's spell after tea. I thought was absolutely outstanding. He moved the ball around, he bowled good line and length, and to me, he's got the most out of this pitch so far, and you'd like to think that if McGrath had played, he may have got the similar sort of amount, but he's not out there. I mean, it's a hypothetical question, but Jones is very good. Hoggard didn't get much of a bowl today. Early on, of course, wicket first ball, which is a bit of a bonus, let's face it. When the opening batsman hits the first ball or extra cover, head high, you've got to put that down as a bonus, but I don't think Harmison took a wicket, did he? Henry Harmison, short spell, 11 overs, didn't take a wicket. At least he'll be fresh for the second innings. No, I mean that. I didn't mean that sort of.
What about Giles now? I thought he did.
Oh, good. Yeah, very good job today. Figures 26 overs, is it?
26 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 17.
Yeah, excellent job. And maybe a little lucky with the Ponting dismissal, because Ponting should have tried to hit that hard and just helped around the corner. But very good wicket. The Clark wicket was a big one in today's context, because Clark was away to a start and batting quite well. And I thought that Giles outthought him and outbowled him, got him with an arm ball that he managed to nick. When he previously had slashed an arm ball past Tchaikovsky, it slipped. So I just thought that was a really good piece of bowling, and he stuck at his job, bowled to the foot marks, and got his 3 wickets, and that's a job well done. And his job description is to keep it tight and pick up the odd wicket and support his fast bowls, and he did exactly that.
And then, of course, there were those 2 absolutely, tremendous Yorkers from Flintoff at the end.
Well, the balls were going reverse swing, I'd say, the last 20-odd overs.
Yes.
And they were very well bowled. Jones had a bit of a shot at the tail and couldn't quite get it. I thought because he banged it in a little bit too short, but Flintoff set up Gillespie well, short leg in, hit the wicket hard with a couple, maybe defend off the back foot, and he was comfortable doing that, but in settling for a back foot defence, he wasn't ready for the Yorker, and it swung in late, it did move, and Kasparich got another absolute ripper the next ball, which swung in, hit him on the toe, and he was playing back as you would do when you bat number 11 and you haven't faced many deliveries, and he got caught playing back. So Flintoff will find himself, as we must remind ourselves, he'll be on a hat-trick in the second innings.
Indeed. Well, Williams already reminded me. But it was certainly a stirring end to it all. But we're going to have a fascinating 35 minutes cricket now, which is going to begin in 2 or 3 minutes. Bill is just about finished. He's finished the scorecard, so I shall now give it to you, or rather read it to you. Langer, LBW, bowled S.P. Jones, 82. Hayden caught Strauss, bowled Hoggard, 0. Ponting caught Vaughan, bowled Giles, 61. Martin run out, direct hit by Vaughan for 20. Clark caught Geo Jones, bowled Giles, 40. Katic caught Geo Jones, bowled Flintoff, 4. Gilchrist not out, 49. Never really cut loose as he can do. Warne bowled Giles, 8. Lee caught Flintoff, bowled S.P. Jones, 6. Gillespie, LBW, bowled Flintoff, 7. Kasparich, LBW, bowled Flintoff, 0. So there were 2 golden ducks, 2 first ballers, Hayden and Kasparich. So The primary club which will be rubbing its hands. Everyone will have to fork out for those. There were 13 buys, 7 leg buys, 1 wide and 10 no balls, 31 extras, but we live in an age when there always seems to be a large number of extras. 76 overs and 346 minutes. Australia were all out for 308. The wickets fell at 0, 88, 118, 194, 208, 262, 273, 273, 282, 308 and 308. And the bowling, Harmison 11 overs, 1 maiden, none for 48. Hoggard 8 overs, no maidens, 1 for 41. S.P. Jones 16 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 69. Flintoff 15 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 52. And Giles 26 overs, 2 maidens, 73 runs, 3 wickets. 3 for 78 Ashley Giles, who had a bit of a moan before the match began, but he scored useful runs for England in their innings yesterday. He's bowled splendidly today, so but rather than moaning, he's doing the best thing, which is to answer his critics by turning in a good performance.
With an excellent performance. And when you look at the bowling figures, Harmison 11 overs, Giles 26. Now, this is a pattern the Australians didn't want England to have. They want Harmison to bowl lots of overs, get tired, not just as the day and the match progress, but as the series progresses. They didn't want Giles to get in and allow him to bowl lots of overs, pick up a couple of wickets. What do you go for, less than 3 and over? Yeah, 3 and over. Well, exactly 3 and over.
Exactly 3 and over, yes indeed.
So he's done a very good job, and the Australian game plan would be to not let him do that. They didn't let him do it at Lords, but here at Edgbaston he's answered all his critics, despite also doing it in the papers midweek. He's done it out on the field.
Well, the cheers you hear at the moment are for England's openers, the 2 left-handers, Andrew Strauss and Marcus Trescothick. The Australians and the umpires are out there. The umpires, of course, now change ends for the second innings, so Billy Bowden will make his extravagant signals from the pavilion end, and the rather calmer Mr. Rudy Katzin will be at the city end. And Trescothick, as always, will take the first ball. It's going to be Brett Lee who's going to bowl it. And at the moment, we've got 3 slips, gully, cover, mid-off, mid-on, wide mid-on, that is square leg and a fine leg. Jason Gillespie is doing all sorts of exercises down on the ground to our right, so it looks as though it's going to be he who will bowl the second over. Trescothick has taken guard, he now walks away from the wicket, does a few stretching exercises, and obviously England won't want to lose a wicket tonight. There are just about 33 minutes left, and the clouds getting a little bit darker, but the light's not that bad. There's blue sky in the distance, and it's been a perfectly good day weather-wise. There was a promise of rain. It rained overnight, but the play started on time, and we haven't had a spot all day, which has been excellent. A pigeon comes quickly over proceedings, just having a look, and before disappearing away to our left by the cherry picker. And Lee is getting ready to bowl to Trescothick. And here comes the first ball of the innings. Lee is galloping in now, up to the wicket, bowls to Trescothick. Trescothick drives through the covers for 4. Well, that was the most splendid start to the innings from England's point of view, from Trescothick's point of view, and England's lead goes to 103. And that was exactly how Trescothick started things off yesterday. It was a full half volley, and didn't hit it well.
And a contrast to the way Matthew Hayden started his innings.
Well, yes, I mean, these things happen, don't they? I mean, the luck of the draw, I don't know. Anyway, Lee comes in again, the second ball of the innings. He's up to the wicket now, he bowls to Trescothick, plays no stroke to one outside the off stump, taken by Gilchrist, who passes it sideways to Hayden there in the gully. Then it goes to Clark at cover, who throws it back to Hayden. Hayden throws it back to Clark. They're having a little bit of catching practice, loosening themselves up. And Kasparovich pats Lee on the back as he walks back to his mark at the far end. And the customers generally looking around the crowd, they're staying to the end. It has been another absorbing day. It's been worth every single halfpenny of the high prices that are charged these days. As Lee is in again, he bowls now to Trescothick, who comes forward but plays no stroke to one well outside the off stump. And Gilchrist goes across to his left towards Warne at slip and takes. and nothing is done. Gillespie is now holding the pose. He was touching his toes, and I happen to be able to touch my toes for years. I wonder when Bill Frindle last touched his toes without bending his knees. Probably this morning.
Well, I certainly haven't touched yours.
No. Thank goodness. I've made absolutely sure you haven't. But certainly a young man's occupation. Actually, it's amazing. Some people are tremendously fit who are able to do it to quite an advanced age. Here comes Lee in, bowls to Trescothick, who just defends from the crease, pushing it back to Lee, tries to flick it up from boot to hand, fails, and Clark comes in from the covers to complete the fielding. 85.3 miles an hour that last ball was delivered at. A train, or rather a chain of people coming down the steps of the Eric Hollis stand there. One of them's wearing a red jersey, or maybe it's a red t-shirt, and a sort of a cloak. So I've no idea whether that's one of the... No, it's a sort of large scarf, I think. It's very much the stand for fancy dress over there on our right. And here comes Brett Lee in, bowls for Trescothick, or Yorker. He digs it out on the offside, goes for a single. Oh my goodness me! He went for the single. He was sent back by Strauss. Trescothick dropped his bat. He got back into the crease, and I think he was there in time. But Clark's throw didn't hit the stumps in any case. But that was not at all a good idea to take a single then. And Strauss, I think, is coming down the wicket to tell Trescothick just that. But no, he just got back. I think if that had hit, he sort of didn't dive in, but he jumped in. Oh, it was nip and tuck, and we're seeing it again and again. But meanwhile, Lee is in, bowls to Trescothick, who goes up on his toes, plays that down to Hayden in the gully, and there is no run. At the end of the first over, England in their second innings are 4 for no wicket. A delicious cover drive by Trescothick to the first ball, a near run out a little bit later when a very silly single was attempted. But Trescothick got in, and if there had been a direct hit, I think the third umpire would have had the most awful headache. He'd been scratching his head so much.
Well, I think he may have just snuck in, but you don't often see the batsman stretching to the crease with their foot.
He thought he might have thrown himself in the circumstances. Anyway, it's going to be Jason Gillespie with all that hair. He's going to bowl the second over from this end, the pavilion end, and he's going to bowl in a sleeveless sweater. Henry Lawson slaking his thirst with a very good-looking glass of water. It's a jolly good drink, water, isn't it?
Fine brew.
A fine brew.
Served up by my chief waiter, James Maxwell.
James Maxwell, he had to have something good about him. He had to have some purpose in life.
Gosh.
Goodness me.
He's a very good punter.
But he's a very good chap. He came and had dinner with me in London the other day, and it was a splendid evening. Splendid. And we had the greatest possible fun. He was in full of good spirits, and lots of my friends, and I think everyone enjoyed themselves hugely. And it's now going to be Gillespie again. He's on his way in, he bowls, and Strauss plays that one from the crease out into the offside. Langer there in the covers field, and nothing is done. And Strauss at Lords 2 and 37, at Edgbaston 48, and at the moment he is not out. England in their second innings, a 4 for no wicket. They led by 99 on the first innings, which is a significant lead, and so the lead now has been stretched to 103. And Gillespie, it is the wind ruffling his trousers and his shirt. He comes in now, up to the wicket, past umpire Bowden, bowls, outside the off stump, Strauss plays no stroke. Gilchrist takes, and Warren gives the obligatory clap, and then folds his arms across his chest, making himself look as though he almost wishes he'd brought a long-sleeve sweater out. So it is quite a chilly evening for early August. The wind's been blowing all day.
It's been quite nice when the sun's been out, but it's got a little bit cloudy here at the moment. Some dark ones above our heads.
Well, I know, it's looking a bit bright. The high-rise blocks office blocks in the middle of the city of Birmingham are quite sharply etched against the skyline. Gillespie's in, bowls to Strauss, who gets a short one and sort of helps it round the corner, down to Lee at backward square, deep backward square, long leg really, and it went straight to him. He didn't have to move 1 inch to his right or his left. Waited for the ball and returned it. Strauss is off the mark. He goes down, has a chat with Trescothick. Much prodding goes on. much prodding in the marsh. And the score is 5 for no wicket. 2 slips, a gully, a backward point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, square leg and long leg. Long leg seems sometimes to become rather an old-fashioned position, doesn't it? It's fine leg or deep backward square.
Yes, it's not one we use in Australia all that much.
Gillespie in, bowls to Trescothick outside the off stump. The natural angle of delivery, right arm over, slanting the ball across the left-hander, and Gilchrist took going to his left. Now, I think fine leg has generally taken over from long leg. But when I was at school, it was always long leg.
So would you call fine leg would be much finer?
It would be finer. So he's almost deep backward square, isn't he?
Yes, it's actually an interesting position with Gillespie bowling, that he's not either squarer for a full shot there, or he's finer for an edge. For a leg glance, it's a very square position.
Well, Gillespie it is again. The sun's come out. He's up to the wicket. He bowls to Scotty, who just stops it down in front of him. They go for a single. I thought for just a moment they were on a collision course, but that was a good signal. That was perfectly safe, and no complaints there. The first one Trescothick tried to take in the first over would have been suicidal had they gone through with it. 6 for no wicket the score. Trescothick has got 5, and a pale sun has just started to burst out over the ground. The players have longish shadows, and Gillespie walks back wearily. It's the end of the long day. Batted very well for a time too, he did. And here he is in now, bowls to Strauss. Strauss is forward, pushing back on the onside. Gillespie himself goes across and fields the ball. It is the end of the second over of the innings, and England in their second innings 6 for no wicket, 5 to Trescothick, 1 to Strauss. England lead by 105, and after another word from Henry Lawson, it will be Jim Maxwell to take you through until the close.
Thanks, Henry. Well, we've had 2 overs with this new ball, and there's not a lot happening. No swing. We haven't seen much swing with the new ball from either side on either day. Not much happening off the seam as well, and I think Ricky Ponting is at this moment deep in conversation with Brett Lee. Wants a bit better result from his faster bowlers. It almost seems, though, without McGrath, that they can't quite get the new ball in the right spot and threaten enough batsmen. James Maxwell.
Hello, Henry. Yes, it's been another very good day of Test cricket, but I think you'd have to say at the end of it, England are in the stronger position to force the issue with so much time left in the game. We've still got 3 days and we're into England's second innings. Here's Lee starting the third over in the sunshine. He bowls, and Trescothick is driving for 4. Lee pitched up, the ball's not swinging. It's a nice half volley, and Trescothick's in excellent touch. It's his second boundary from the bowling of Lee, and he moves to 9 and the score to 10. Without McGrath, there's not the edge, the control, perhaps even the potency in Australia's bowling.
Well, not perhaps the thought either. We're just talking about Brett Lee bowling here. It's not swinging, and he hasn't made the adjustment to bowl shorter.
He tries again. Trescothick goes back to his shorter ball and knocks it down on the offside. They've manoeuvred the field now. 3 slips gully, point cover mid-off, mid-on, and a long leg. The 7-2 offside field, which we've seen quite often today when Australia were batting. But Australia bowled out for 308. And really it was the first ball bowled to Hayden that got Australia on the back foot, because he hit it straight to Strauss at short cover from the bowling of Hoggard, and from there it was one of those attritional days where Australia tried to dig their way out of it and didn't quite. Lee bowls. Trescothick leaves outside the off stump. Again, the ball just on a bit of angle outside the off stump. But England exerted far more pressure with the ball than Australia could yesterday. Is that because Australia just couldn't catch up with the game, with the attack from the opening partnership and beyond?
Well, I think that because they bowled the wrong length for much of the day.
But that was because of the batting to an extent?
Yeah, it's hard to debate whether England went after the Australians, therefore they bowled a bad length, or Australia bowled a bad length, therefore scoring became easier.
Lee in again. Trescothick goes back, jabs a short ball off his hip away on the onside. Trescothick 9, Strauss 1. England none for 10.
You tend to think Australia didn't quite get the bowling right, that early on it's okay being hit for a couple of fours early on when you're trying to pitch up and see if the ball's swinging, but it was fairly obvious it was doing absolutely nothing, and they didn't make the adjustments. And what Brett Lee bowled 17 overs for 111. It's okay bowling your first 3 overs for, go for 4, 5, 6 and over even, but then you've got to make the adjustments.
Now Lee in from the city end bowls. Trescothic's on the crease with a push. That erect stroke of his, just watching the ball and playing at the last moment. And Lee, of course, bowling at the other end. I don't think he bowled an over down there in the first innings. He was primarily bowling from this end. And I also thought he lost patience yesterday at the lower order.
The tactics were Australia. We've seen Brett do that before, haven't we? Too short, too full. Rather than settle for some good length bowling and wait for mistakes to happen.
So England looking good at the moment. Lee bowls, Trescothic's back, and he pulls the ball up in the air, miscuing totally as it lobbed behind square. Luckily for Trescothic, it fell safely, but he was late on that, and he ended up just knocking it around the corner off a wobbly top edge into no man's land, and luckily it was no man's land, and he took a single. It's 11 without loss at the end of Lee's over, from which 5 runs came. 2 overs for 9, and Australia all out for 308. Langer top scored, leg before to Jones for 82. Ponting made 61, Clark 40, and Gilchrist was 49 not out. And Flintoff's on a hat-trick in the second innings, 3 for 52, and Giles 3 for 78.
Well, Gillespie now on into his second over. Not a lot of zip in the first one. Let's see if he's got a few of the cobwebs out.
He moves towards Trescothic, who leaves a ball that's going across him outside the off stump. Ever watchful there as we're going into the last 20 minutes of the day. The light's holding, despite the fact that some grey cloud is moving across the ground at the moment. And the forecast is for fine weather for the next 3 days. So there doesn't appear to be a problem coming up with the weather. And it could be for Australia to stay in this game unless they can bowl England out, you would imagine, for no more than 250, 300. Gillespie moves away. He bowls. Trescothic stutters across and then takes the ball away from his pads behind square. Races through for 1. Won't get 2 as it's hurled in from behind square by Lee coming around. The total ticks over to 12. And Gillespie.
Is that trudge back getting wearier?
He looks it. He batted for a while. How many balls did he face? 37 balls for his 7 runs. He's going to go around the wicket now.
It's a decision made in the second over to go around the wicket. He's not going to persist trying to angle it across Strauss. The Australians obviously thought about this and thought, well, we'll go around the wicket to Strauss early on, cut off that powerful shot he has square of the wicket on the offside, perhaps.
2 slips in the gully. Point cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, long leg, and Gillespie comes past Billy Bowden around the wicket. Strauss leaves the ball alone outside the off stump. So we're not going to get all the overs available at this late stage in the day. We'll finish at 6 o'clock. What was it? 12 to finish, Bill?
12, yes.
Yep. 12 overs, and we're in the 4th. So probably another 4 or 5 overs, and that will be it on the regulations. But 2 absorbing, contrasting days of cricket. England with a scintillating batting performance, and Australia digging in today. Gillespie bowls. Forward goes Strauss and drives through the covers superbly and away to the boundary for 4. He measured that off. Just stretching across outside the off stump. And England's confidence has grown, 1, from the moment that I'm sure McGrath was ruled out of the team, and 2, from the time Trescothic started clouting boundaries from Brett Lee after they were sent in.
It does build your confidence when you hit a few through the covers with the middle of the bat, just as Andrew Strauss did then.
He's 5, none for 16. Gillespie bowls again, and he's coming forward and playing a ball off his pads to Kasparovich, who has a flick at the stumps and misses And it's backed up out there on the offside by Justin Langer. Now Langer playing the long and gritty innings today. 154 balls, 7 fours. And Australia had some partnerships going, but none of them proved significant. None, in fact, went beyond 100. None got to 100. The measure of England's persistence. Gillespie bowls, whipped away hard by Strauss. A good stroke, but he found Katic out there in front of square. So Gillespie's just thereabouts at the moment, and there's not a very threatening look about the new ball bowling here from Australia, with England 16 without loss and 115 in front.
Well, Gillespie choosing to go around the wicket, and it was a varied over. Full allowing the drive, full. That was outside off stump. Then a couple on middle and leg that fortunately the fieldsman chopped off. Not a lot of consistency about that over at all. Brett Lee's last over was better. After he was hit for the 4, he cut back to a really good length and a good line and put some pressure on Trescothick, which included a good short ball, which the left-hander just fended away. Could have gone anywhere. Unfortunately, it looped into a gap behind square leg. But the last 5 balls of Lee's over were very good. The first one let him down. Now let's see if he can just settle for 6 balls. Well, he's going around the wicket. I mean, Shane Warne's run up and had a chat with him straight away. So that would have been fascinating. And he's coming around the wicket.
Well, let's see what the change of line does. Langer moves out to backward square. Lee bowls. Trescothick tries to cut. He miscues this time. He got it on the bottom of the bat. Just come off a little slowly from the pitch. But they talk about Edgbaston developing more variable bounce as the game goes on, and we haven't seen a lot of it today, but we saw some skillful reverse swing bowling from Jones and Flintoff.
Very good. Excellent.
And we're just wondering here what skill we're going to see with a new ball from Lee, because if the ball's not swinging, he could disappear a few times through the covers. Lee bowls. Back he goes, and he's beaten. That is a good ball. That hit the pitch and just missed the outside edge. So Shane Warne's licking his lips at first slip. It looked like he was the one who made the suggestion about going around the wicket. That bounced too.
A bit of heat on that. Didn't quite catch the radar reading, but we were sitting almost directly behind that, and for a moment I thought it was coming up here. You had that sense that the ball was getting rather big on you.
Lee again searches in from the city end and bowls. Trescothick's back and forces the ball away out to Clark, who's there at point. So 16 without loss. 11 to Trescothick, 5 to Strauss, and the old Barmy Army making plenty of noise, which is probably stirring up a few of the Australians if they're nearby. And the crowd is stuck to the last here. The ground looks as full at 5:45 as it did at 11 o'clock. 10:30. Lee again around the wicket bowls. Trescothick is across his stumps and pushing the ball away gently towards Katic out there in the covers.
It's probably because they expect things to keep happening. They don't expect the action to die off, and that's what they've got so far. They're seeing some quality all the time. And considering what they've been drinking, what they've been dressed in, it's a triumph of the will to still be here and still being intent on the cricket.
The Holly stand is buzzing with anticipation here as Lee runs in again, and Trescothick pulls the short ball away for 4. And the ball boy can't stop it. That was 4. It went into the fence.
at pace.
The fence, which is about 15 yards beyond the rope. Trescothick moves to 15. Isn't he in wonderful form? And it's none for 20 as Lee pounded one in a bit short. And Trescothick helped himself to a boundary, lifting it over Langer's head at backward square. All right, what's Lee's response to that? Here he comes. He bowls again. Trescothick is playing into his pad off an inside edge. A little bit of danger there as it ran away on the offside to complete the over. So Australia can't get through at the moment, and they have maybe 2, perhaps 3 overs left on the second day to try and break through. England, those to survive, and it looks like Michael Kasparovich is going to replace Gillespie after just 2 overs at the pavilion end.
And that's fair enough with 10 minutes to go, but Potting just made a point of running down to Gillespie to let him know it wasn't just a wave. The captain often stands half a pitch away or further and just says, oh, that's enough, have a rest. He probably doesn't even say it, he just signals it, which you don't often get after 2 overs. But Potting made the point of running down to him and sort of explaining why he's changing the bowling, so he doesn't take it personally. But whether he did that to appease the Gillespie feelings or just say, look, I'm just changing the tactics, just trying something different, give Casper a go. Normally those things are not necessary. You don't have to explain to bowlers why they've been taken off. The captain makes his decisions, and most of the time you understand, even if you don't agree with them, you do understand what they're about. It's a little unusual, that sideshow.
Well, it's Kasparovich who does hit the deck a little bit harder than Gillespie these days. He goes in and Strauss leaves a ball that's sliding through low and wide, very low and wide outside the line of the off stump as Strauss examined it. None for 20, a lead of 119 for England, and Australia facing an awkward situation here, particularly going to the third day. They'll want to try and stop England building a big position, so it'll make it tricky with the field placing. As Kasparovich bowls on the pads, it's flicked off by Strauss. Easy run there to backward square and to Lee. None for 21. Strauss 6 and Trescothick on 15. And yesterday there were 54 fours and 10 sixes. Today there were 39 fours and no sixes in Australia's innings. Another measure of the difference in approach, as Katic comes into a short mid-off for Kasparovich. He goes up, he bowls, and back goes Trescothick and hits it for 4. It was short and wide, and he hammered it out to the boundary. Trescothick, in hot form, is 25. Oh, he's 19 actually, and the score's 25, but 5 fours so far in the innings.
Yes, Strauss has hit one of them.
So 20 of the 25, they're carrying on where they left off yesterday. Precisely. Kasparovich goes in again, and it's followed by Trescothick just prodding it out on the offside.
And it wasn't a good delivery. It deserved to get hit for 4. It was wide, it was short, it was lovely arc for a left-hander to hit square of the wicket. But Australia have got to stop this bleeding of boundaries. I mean, it's not quality bowling at all.
Warne's warming up at first slip as Kasparovich moves away again. No, he doesn't get there. He lost it in the zone, lost the ball in fact, which was picked up by Trescothick as it rolled away. It fell out of his grasp as he was about to deliver it. Bright sunshine across the ground here at Edgbaston. Perfect light, getting close to stumps on the second day, and England building fairly convincingly so far on their good lead. Kasparovich bowls now, and it's left alone by Trescothick. That was more like it from Kasparovich's viewpoint. Hit the pitch, went away on the sort of line where he was able to get the nibble in the first innings, but Trescothick showing excellent judgment. A couple of balls from Lee have disturbed him. One flyer outside the off stump that just missed the outside edge, and another short one he was late on, attempting a hook. And the next time it was short, though, he swatted it for 4. Kasparovich bowls to him, and he's across and behind and away into the covers to Langer. And that's the over for Kasparovich. And Shane Warne, is he going to come on and bowl before the close of play here?
Yes.
Yes. 2 more overs. to finish the second day.
So we've had 6 overs and the run rate's up above 4 again. Mostly in boundaries again. Disturbing pattern emerging for the Australians.
Yes, and that'll be the judgment. The more it goes, the McGrath factor. What does that mean in the context of these games? Now, for those waiting for the shipping forecast, it will follow immediately after the close of play. So if you're on tender hooks, don't throw out the life buoy. Not yet. 19 for Trescothick, 6 for Strauss. And it will be Warne around the wicket to bowl to Strauss. He bowled him with a good leg break in the first innings too.
They did, but that one turned a long way amongst a lot of deliveries that weren't turning very far. Probably out of a foot mark, one of the early foot marks in the match, but I'm sure that Strauss will have that in mind when he's defending. He should be in defensive mode now. He's just going to play his way to stump. See through this over. We'll probably have this and probably one more. There's still 5 minutes to go.
Okay, it's Warne around the wicket with a slip and a short leg. He bowls the ball, which Strauss is trying to turn and missing. That's turning quite a way too, as it pitched near his middle stump and went outside the leg stump to be taken by Gilchrist, and immediately Ponting signals a change in the field.
Well, Gilchrist just nodded across to it. Look, it's turning. Let's get him in. And particularly with Strauss very likely to defend. Well, we don't need a deep mid-wicket. You need to get some people in around the bat, don't you? I mean, if he wants to take you on in the last over before stumps, or Warne's last over before stumps, well, fair enough. That'd be gutsy cricket. But, otherwise, you get them in, put some pressure on him. And now there are 4 close catches.
And Martin's not strictly at leg slip. He's sort of leg gully, isn't he?
That's an interesting position. He's 3 or 4 steps deeper than you'd expect.
So Warne at Strauss. Strauss is bowled. Oh, bowled by a beauty. Pitched in the rough and turned a mile. And Strauss looks around and sees crash, the ball going into his stumps. Oh, that was Warne at his best. He's pitched in the rough and he's turned it a fair way, and he's knocked Strauss over for 6. 1 for 25.
Knocked him over, not playing a shot, very similar to the first innings. So that's gone behind his legs and hit middle and leg, fair bit of middle. Now, Andrew, you've got to get something in front of the stumps, my man. You can't just stand there and let the ball spin past you. Fair enough getting the pads in the way, but that was a bizarre way to play of Shane Warne.
How far did it turn?
I turned a fair way. I said he'd turn it more than that, but Strauss had it bowling behind his legs, but hit middle behind his legs. Now that's got to be an error of judgment, surely.
But the night watchman coming out?
Yes.
Hoggard. Well, so it's an interesting policy, but I suppose at this point of the day, it's an obvious one. There was a time when Australia dispensed with it, but they've gone back to it since Ponting took over the captaincy. But this could well be the last over of the day, looking at the clock. That was only the second ball, 4 more balls to come. So even if Hoggard has the misfortune to get out, that would, you'd imagine,
would have done
be
his
the
job.
end of the day. Yes, he would have done his job.
If he gets out first ball, he's done his job. As long as he takes a fair while in marking centre.
Well, I think we all thought that the way Warne bowled in the first innings that he'd be a big threat in the second, but that was a shock. Strauss didn't really cover the line of the ball. It's turned past him and hit middle and leg. So just maybe, with Warne about, England's chances of setting Australia a substantial target are going to be severely threatened tomorrow. Well, that wasn't quite a Gatting ball, but it was exciting.
I mean, you've got to say not well played.
No. Yeah.
You've only got to survive on 5 more balls, more or less, and you get through the stumps.
There's a lot happening out there. It's taken about 3 or 4 minutes to get another ball in. What's happening down here? They're bringing out more gear, and Brad Haddon gives a helmet to Clark. I think the umpires are. Billy Bowden's getting a bit edgy out there. Come on, get on with the game.
Yeah, won't change the game though. They've got 5 balls to bowl, be stumps.
Yes, just watching the replay. I think he probably should have played it back.
They pitched outside his off stump. Get forward, get your pads in the way. If it turns a bit, it hits you on the pads outside the line.
What an aura this man has. And now there's another change going in the field. And Billy Bowden, come on, fellas, get on with the game. For goodness sake. 3 or 4 minutes this has taken. I mean, virtually everyone's around the bat. That's no surprise. And Hoggard's got 4 balls to survive. 1 for 25. 25 for 1. And Warne at the city end. Moves forward now. He bowls to Hoggard, who's kicking the ball away. Oh, that's dangerous. That was going down the line of the leg stump. It was whirring in there. He doesn't want to do that too often.
This is the kind of field you see on day 5 with the side 9 down, trying to battle it out for a draw.
Does the test match take another twist here? Warne to bowl. He comes up, he bowls to Hoggard. Hoggard is forward, and there's an appeal for catch there. That was extraordinary. What did that do? Take him on the body and then go away to Ponting close. Oh, pad and body or whatever, it popped up on the offside.
He's going to bowl him a straight one here in a moment. Then we'll hear an appeal for LBW. Hoggard will be just getting as far forward as he can go.
6 men and the keeper hugging Hoggard in. Warne bowls to him and he pushes at this and it comes from the pad and shimmies away behind square. So 1 ball to come. And Matthew Hoggard certainly done his job if he survives it. So England were going along serenely until Warne took the ball, crashing into Strauss's stumps with his second delivery when he didn't play a stroke. Went behind his legs and smashed into the middle and leg stumps. Last ball of the day. Warne's pulled this trick off before. He goes in and bowls, and Hoggard is pushing forward, and it goes off the pad past short leg. And that is the close of play on day 2. What a test match. England 407, Australia 308. And down the board, Hayden caught Strauss, bowled Hoggard at 0. Ponting caught Warne, bowled Giles 61. Martin run out 20. Clark caught Jones, bowled Giles 40. Katic caught Jones, bowled Flintoff 4. Langer leg before Jones 82. Warne bowled Giles 8. Lee caught Flintoff, bowled Jones 6. Gillespie leg before Flintoff 7. And Kasparovich, the second primary of the innings, leg before Flintoff 0. 31 extras, 308 all out from 76 overs. And for England, Harmison none for 48. Hoggard 1 for 41. Jones 2 for 69. Flintoff, who's on a hat-trick in the second innings, 3 for 52. Giles 3 for 78. It stumps England, who had a lead of 99, now 124 ahead. Strauss bowled by Warne for 6. Trescothick is 19, and night watchman Hoggard yet to score.